Ladies and gentlemen, order in the court. Today's proceedings finds the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down, inheritance coming up short, scammers getting the last laugh. Ha! Drug lords in your future. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll fight for you. He'll get you the defense you deserve. But only if you say the words.
Oh no, I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh wait, I know. Better call Saul. So without further ado, it's time to start judging Saul. Court is now in session. Do you like my boy Jonathan Banks doing the commercial delivery dragon? Just like, yeah, whatever. It's a paycheck. Okay. All right, folks. So the title "Judging Saul," it can't be more appropriate than this episode, right, Dragon? I mean, holy shit! Oh man!
Boy, yeah.
Oh man! So you gave me the tease last night before I went to watch the episode, because of course you get the 3-hour head start on me because you're on the East Coast, and you were like, "Tiki, Jimmy does the most despicable thing that we've seen on the show so far."
Yep.
And yeah, I mean that's the way to frame it, Dragon. I mean, oh boy, this episode
Jimmy does something truly horrible.
I think this episode more than lives up to the penultimate hype that we've come to expect from Better Call Saul. I can't wait to dive into it, Dragon. Let's go.
Well, first, director.
Yeah, I know. Writer director. Let's go.
Yes, we have a newbie director who I think did an excellent job with this episode. Minky Spiro.
Okay.
So that's kind of a newbie director, and our writer, of course, and the reason this episode I believe is so good is we have one of the honestly, the more I think about it, we have a slew of great writers who also, for the most part, have written Breaking Bad. But my God, this writer he originated on Better Call Saul, the show, and every episode it's always been like a slam dunk. Gordon Smith.
Okay, nice.
And of course, famous for 5-0, but the episodes I think that he's done that really feeds into why this episode works. This is kind of his wheelhouse, and if I'm right, Gordon Smith has the sister who's a lawyer, which of course is why in his episodes the legalese is always so intact.
Sure.
And of course, the episodes with the legalese would be Chicanery,
mm-hmm.
One of my favorites, Inflatable.
Oh yeah.
And very importantly, this one's the most important for this episode. I believe his episode after the Mike episode was not directly, but down the line. Rico, the start of all the Sandpiper stuff. That was him, and he fulfilled it this episode.
Yeah. Oh my God, Dragon. When we were talking about the Sandpiper stuff in season 1, and we were thinking like, what is this show doing? Like Jimmy's like, it's kind of fun. The idea of Jimmy McGill as like a Matlock type, but this is like not the direction I was hoping the show would go down. Oh boy, Dragon! 3 seasons in, and we have a hell of a payoff for that. Wow!
I want to clarify that's mostly Tiki on the whole the way of thinking. I agree with you that it was a divide. It was like
I was skeptical about it, especially in season 1. In season 2, I kind of grew more into it. But in season 1, I was sort of like, okay, what are they playing at here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the big thing to take away is I did feel like kind of we were dividing into arcs. So we had the Kelman arc, then we had the Sandpiper arc, kind of taking us through, and then just anything past that was just kind of like bringing Chuck back. That was kind of
sure.
If there was a third arc, that would be or Mike, one of those as the third arc.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, point is, you're absolutely right. We do pay off a lot of the Sandpiper stuff, and again, the character who introduced the Sandpiper stuff, of course, appropriately starts.
Oh my God!
So we'll get into that. So let's begin. So Jimmy's, and I love this, just given the running gag, of course, of Jimmy drives in esteem, and this episode really puts that into question. So Jimmy's esteem arrives. So esteem starts the episode.
Right.
Jimmy's former esteem. So Jimmy's esteem arrives, and I love this. The rewatch just plays even better. It's just the whole idea. He's we see the pieces of the con coming together. So
he's putting store-bought cookies and making them, look personalized by putting them on a paper plate and wrapping
I love that. Just
wrapping them in the tinfoil.
The detail I forgot. Basically, I forgot how it all tied together. Is like he's tearing off the plastic and he's putting it all together in the car.
Right. Oh God! And this is just the start, Dragon. This is just the tip of the iceberg for the long con that Mr. McGill has up his sleeves this episode. Oh boy!
I'm going to admit, because I was so wrapped up in just kind of the pleasantries of it all in the beginning, I kind of missed out on the fact that
in this episode, Jimmy McGill absolutely weaponizes pleasantries.
He does. Oh my God, that's the perfect way of phrasing it. Yes, he weaponized pleasantries. Oh my God, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh yeah, we gotta write that down somewhere. We gotta use that.
Okay. I'll keep it in my head. I got it.
Anyway, all right, but yeah, I'm so caught up in the weaponized pleasantries that I completely forgot. Like I was just like so wrapped up in, oh my God, Jimmy's actually just dropping by and he's bringing cookies. I completely forgot that. Oh, again on the rewatch, like this is all part of a.
This episode I think is one of the most rewatchable episodes in Better Call Saul history. Yes. Dragon, it's. Like, once you know what Jimmy's up to, it's chilling. It's like, as you said, like the first episode, the first time you watch it, you're like, oh, Jimmy's being so nice. And then the second time, it's like, oh, man, this is not cool at all.
So essentially, Jimmy has two cons going on. The second one stems from this initial con. Now, again, this initial con is not so terrible. This one's just like kind of him with an ulterior motive. So let's make that clear. It's the track where the moral kind of the moral barometer kind of comes
Sure.
So essentially, he's putting together like something so he can just basically say, "Oh, I was in the neighborhood." That's essentially what he's doing here, and it's revealed that it's Sandpiper Crossing. Jimmy visits the original client from Sandpiper, Mrs.
Landry.
Yes, Miss Irene Landry. Yes.
Oh boy.
Anyway, it's all pleasant and nice, and I'm sure this brought Tiki.
I was just in the neighborhood, and I thought, hey, gee, I better stop by and visit my favorite client.
Oh yeah. Tell me Irene didn't remind you of that character from Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
What, the peanut lady?
Yes.
Oh, you look like a peanut. Yes.
Cute as a peanut.
Oh yes. You're on the money with that one, Dragon.
That's the first thing I was thinking about. Tiki's gonna love Miss Landry.
Well, I've always loved Miss Landry, which is what makes this episode so as we get into it. So
now I just want to refresh us on one brief thing, Miss Landry, just show you how nice she was. In her first appearance, Jimmy was charging $140. Kept it civil for charging the old folks, and she didn't have. She only had the $40, and he just basically she didn't have the money, so he kind of took like a payment installment thing for it because he was so darn nice to her. And learning why she didn't have the money was the Sandpiper thing, which of course paid off in this episode. So I guess all pleasant and nice in the neighborhood with the cookies. Again, so basically he's
He even has the whole line of like, oh, I just when I was baking these cookies, I saw your dear Felix in there, and I just thought, oh, I have to give these to Irene. It's just the idea that Jimmy is making cat cookies. Cookie cats, as Steven Universe would call them. And, and, just the idea that he just be sitting around making cat cookies and then being like, you know what? I have a client who has her cat, and these look just like her cat, and I'm just going to give them to her because I'm a nice guy.
Now, to be fair, I don't think he expressly says they're homemade. He had cookies and he just wanted to share them.
I don't know. He does say they're homemade, Dragon, because he said, like, when I was frying them up and when I took them out of the oven, they reminded me of Felix.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he does imply that they're homemade.
That's yeah. Anyway, so you're right. That's more hilarious than the rewatch, I gotta tell you. So again, what Jimmy's doing through here is kind of the ulterior motive we're talking about, hence the cookies, is that he's working in the real question he has into the conversation. Basically, he's there visiting Sandpiper to find out what the progress is with Sandpiper. Basically, my thesis statement for the episode is that ever since that moment from the last episode where Jimmy had basically, I call it his $700 in the sun moment. Where he's laying down with the $700 behind his head as a cushion, essentially. That's him basically reopening the can on Slipping Jimmy, that I can make my living by pulling Slipping Jimmys. And of course, the mother of all Slipping Jimmys would be checking on the settlement fund, which again he's not expecting it to be as big as we're going to get into, but he's expecting a chunk of change coming back to him. Of course, if that can help him pay the bills in the meantime, by all means. So he's going to pull like a mini Slipping Jimmy just to kind of find out what's going on with that, and so he can just kind of grease the works a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just that's why he's driving on his favorite client and all that stuff, just to he's kind of inquiring like, oh, so I'm surprised you're still here. I'm surprised you didn't move after that after getting your settlement from Sandpiper, which he mentions. No, we haven't gotten the settlement yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she tells him, "Oh, Jimmy, that's years." I just love they all call him Jimmy. It's just also it's so 50s neighborly. I love it.
Well, it's part of his brand too.
It is. Give me Jimmy, of course.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
She tells him that's years.
Remember his coaching to Francesca. Always Jimmy. Always Jimmy.
Very true. Very true. So that's she tells him that's years away, and but this surprises. I think this genuinely surprises Jimmy that they haven't kind of settled this obvious wrongdoing case, because remember Sandpiper really was very obviously in the wrong.
Right.
So I think Jimmy at this scene, it's ambiguous how genuine he is in this scene, but I mean, of course, a lot of it is of course motivating his own ends. But I think part of it is he does still have a soft spot for the old folks, definitely at this point. She mentions that Aaron from Davis. And this is like a fun. I love this reference. I just love that we called Aaron back. So Aaron from. By the way, she's in the new Mr. Shows they did on Netflix. She has,
is she? Oh God.
Yeah, because see, John Ennis is her father. I forget what her first name is, but point is her father's John Ennis, who worked on the original Mr. Show, and she was a kid when they made the original Mr. Show. And now she's all grown up on Saul, and they kind of used.
Oh wow. Nice.
It was like really kind of neat little, son, big daughter becoming the father, I guess, in a way. So anyway, Aaron from Davis in Maine got a promotion. Now she's handling the case. That's the idea.
And it's just like Aaron is just like in over her head and is inept as ever and just like screwing up because she's going too much by the book.
Yep, and of course the reason is she's actually because she's taken over Jimmy's job. I'm not sure if that comes across. That's why she got promoted, because Jimmy left.
Right.
Because again, he was handling this case and no longer. But. Okay, so anyway, yes, you're right, and basically, she's like, we knew she was a stickler for the rules, which is probably why she's absolutely taken so long. And Jimmy knows this, and let's see. So as it goes on,
I like how he offers to personally talk to Aaron, even though he's probably not going to do that. He just offers in the moment.
Well, that's the funny thing, I think it's that she suggests that, I think Irene suggests that Jimmy should talk to Aaron, which basically Jimmy says, oh, yes, of course we know Jimmy having run with Aaron before, she's like the anti-Jimmy. She's a super stickler for the rules. Like I think Chuck would like Aaron, to be honest with you.
Oh, I think Chuck would love Aaron. They'd have the time of their lives together.
Oh my, it's just the current. Oh my God, imagine Tiki. That would be his perfect Ernie. It'd be Aaron.
Yes, it would be his perfect Ernie. Oh God.
Anyway, but seriously though, it's that. All right, basically, Jimmy after this is recommended, he basically says, "Oh yeah, sure." Of course, he means that's not going to happen. Just Jimmy's kind of smiling through his teeth. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I do think Jimmy, when he's complimenting Aaron after she's brought, I think a part of him genuinely means that she's good, but again, follows the rules too much for his taste. But I think
right, sure.
Okay, let's see. So then, let's see. So Jimmy. All right, so Irene shows Jimmy the documents about the settlement. Basically, keeps like an old classic kind of like elderly person who keeps like a box full of important documents.
And we have this line that's really telling, where Jimmy's like, "Are you sure I can look through this?" Of course, Jimmy, it's you.
That's telling on two. That's especially on the rewatch. I think that's telling on two levels. One, that is Jimmy getting verification to look through the documents in case he is, questions. That's kind of that's the secret alternative thing, and of course they have the commentary on the episode. Of course, Jimmy. Of course, Jimmy. It's you.
Like this is one of the guys that this woman would like trust with her life. You know what I mean?
Everyone Sandpiper trusts Jimmy, especially Irene. And,
right.
Again, she was the first, and it's viable that it's I don't know.
Dragon, this is going to be tough to get through, man. This is going to be.
I know. You're gonna have my whole disappointed. Going through the whole thing, just being disappointed. Like,
of course, right.
They're just. Let's see. So again, as Jimmy gets verification, he's going through the documents, and then of course Jimmy's. I love this, and we've seen this before, especially when he's calling his clients on the phone. Again, a lot of stuff pays off in this episode. Again, episode 9s are always good, folks. With Better Call Saul, it's like the Netflix thing, only it's more consistent. So. Jimmy's going into his usual shtick of, he's just basically comforting the elderly client, saying, "Oh yeah, it's easy to get lost in all this legalese. I mean, I'm a lawyer, and I barely understand myself, and these kind of stuff."
And then he just gets caught dead in his tracks.
As he sees what the offer is.
Oh man.
And oh boy, basically, Jimmy exposits a reminder to Irene, something to us, the audience, that we didn't know, is that Irene is the class representative. For the residents of Sandpiper Cross, not Aaron. He makes that clear. No, Aaron doesn't have any say. Basically, Irene's being nice by just kind of letting the professionals handle, not really raising any questions, just being kind of nice, a little bit of kind of kind of a clienty pushover. Not a bad thing.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
it's understandable. Well, you don't want to gum up the work.
Well, I mean,
just assume
yeah,
it's-
she's, she basically says, like, like, I don't know anything about this, which is true, and so
Yes.
she's like, so I leave it to the professionals, which is logical, but at the same time, as we know through this show, leaving it to the professionals sometimes mean the professionals can just, like, milk it for all it's worth without you getting any benefit from it.
Certainly, and of course, the very important detail is exposed is that Irene has final say. She makes the judgment. She's like the special court appointee. So, I mean, she's the one who has she can sign off on it. Only her.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. So, Irene being very trusting, sorry, do that. Jimmy, who then brings up, well, if you won the lottery, you'd take the lump sum.
Right.
Basically, saying money
more time
now.
to enjoy it.
Yeah, he has a very slipping Jimmy-esque philosophy as he tells her, "Hey, money now is better than money later." Which, as we've said before, again, Slipping Jimmy, he's all about money and success in the moment, not thinking of the long term. That's Slipping Jimmy to a T, and he's just kind of pushing that onto Irene here. Just shows you that, again, Jimmy McGill's dead, folks. I'm sorry, I don't know how to, again, I wish we could have a funeral, but Tiki, if the last episode wasn't evidence, this one absolutely confirms it. Jimmy McGill's dead. Now it's a question between Slipping Jimmy and Saul Goodman. Yes.
Yep.
That's the real question. It's terrifying and it's tragic, but we knew it was coming to this place.
Right.
So and then she recommends Jimmy talk to Aaron about this. Of course, not a chance. Then the girls arrive. So basically, as Jimmy's about to fire into it. Yes, the entourage. I love these three being our main window into Irene's friends, the residents. Hey, these are all, and again, Better Call Saul and just the Albuquerque person, they always cast the best extras. I don't know what it is about them. They always cast.
They really do. They really do.
As I love how different, how unique these three old gals are.
Remind me the name of that waiter guy from Confessions. Was it Tad or something like that?
I'm thinking from Confessions.
Yeah, when they go to the make your own salsa place.
I think it might be Tad. It's either Tad or Todd or something. It's something.
I don't think it's Todd. I think it's Tad.
I think you're right. I'm just saying I can't. It's been a while, Tiki, so I can't really. I'm going to assume you're right because it doesn't sound too wrong.
So yeah, the three main women in the entourage are Rose, Myrtle, and Helen.
Lovely
Jimmy kind of compliments them on the yoga, like, "Oh, that yoga sure looks like it's working. You all look 10 years younger."
Not just yoga, Tiki. It's
chair yoga. Yeah.
The lazy man's yoga.
Oh God.
So then Jimmy politely leaves, of course, complimenting 10 years younger, as you just said. He says, "Decide the other clients." All right. Right. So again, exceeding pleasantries.
Yeah, then he's doing math in his head as he's leaving Sandpiper, kind of working it all out, and
he has a big revelation
boy.
Essentially, I have the totals here. So basically, if I'm getting this right from, at least it's just based on what Jimmy says to himself, is that he's just kind of murmuring $17.4 million total, implying that's what the settlement is. $17.4 million, and Jimmy's share, as he figures out, basically, if I'm getting this right, Jimmy, when he's doing the equation, I believe Jimmy shares 1/15, which
I think so. Yeah,
that's at least what just to layman watching at home who's really afraid of math. That's what
I'm terrified of math. Math is why I've never completed college. Anyway,
so Jimmy realizes that his share should be in the neighborhood of $1,160,000,
and gives
which is a lot.
Holy shit! And that's a great cold open, Dragon.
And it sets the stage that Jimmy's financial problems would be solved, and the only weight is Irene. The only weight is on Irene's. The only reason he hasn't gotten this money.
Oh man.
And I know we usually don't talk about the openings because they just keep reusing the same ones. But let me just remind the folks, of course, with episode 9 being the big, all the bad stuff happens, and all the really big setup stuff for the last episode happens. They always use the urinal opening.
That is pretty appropriate.
All going down the toilet, so to speak.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. So then we cut to Mandrigal. Yeah, Mandrigal. Okay, Mandrigal. Forget it.
It's like getting mad, then Dragal.
Madrigal.
There you go. All right, gold star.
Yes. We have Mike waiting in the lobby. I love how we just randomly have someone on a Segway in the office.
Yep, and I love the reason for that because again, we were just speculating, is it like some sort of high-tech place, some sort of really successful 2002 business?
Right,
But,
right.
but yeah, actually, this is the Madrigal electric motive division.
Hmm.
Basically, I get like a lot of technological concepts, kind of cars, vehicles, that sort of stuff, kind of highfalutin business type deal. So Mike, you're right. Mike's in the waiting area. It's revealed that he has a meeting, just kind of bury the lead a little bit before we spill to it. Lydia, of course, who we know works at Madrigal. It's like apparently in the Albuquerque division, Lydia oversees it.
Hmm. And you called this, Dragon, the fact that Lydia was going to be overseeing the money laundering for Mike.
Yeah. I just said the next time we see, because honestly I didn't expect her, because just they said they kind of got her in for a cameo. I guess maybe they got her into cameo for 2 scenes. That must be it. They said they had Lydia in the future. I would just assume that if Lydia was in the future, it'd have to be in relation to Magic.
Sure.
So of course we have this great
Mike love.
Sure. So of course, folks, we like to keep track this season, as Mike has been keeping track of Fring's interest in him. He's we gotta keep track of how much love we hold, not only for the actor Jonathan Banks, but for the character of Mike Ermintrout, a character so lovable that our one of the members of one of the employees of Magic offers him various beverages, which Mike turns down. But importantly, he was offered those beverages,
very, very,
including
including
Howard Hamlin's favorite.
tea. Yes. Oh God. All right, keep going.
I'm surprised Mike didn't take that water, to be honest. I'm just saying, he could have taken the water. I'm just saying, he's there on business. It's not too much of an ask, but anyway. Again, at least it was offered instead of Nick Ford just kind of teasing pleasantry. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'll get off track, Ben.
So the point is, Mike, right at the bottom here, Dragon. We're filling the bottom out. We only have 2 episodes left, and we need to fill out this whole thing by the end. So the next one is going to be an especially big We Heart Mike. But for right now, we'll fill out the bottom, and We Heart Mike right about there.
Yes.
All right.
So importantly, Mike, the reason Mike's at Magical is to meet with Lydia, who he has overseeing the money laundering. Again, she runs the Albuquerque branch of Magical. So she's asking, basically, she's kind of going through like, oh yes, welcome, Mr. Ermintrout, yada yada. And the minute she asked for Mike's his ID and his Social Security card. By the way, I've been there. I'm working a little bit in business that I have to constantly make copies of IDs and Social Security.
Right.
As the gopher, not as the guy doing the stuff with it. She's like, I'm the guy who has to make the copies. I'm the guy she's like handing those cards off to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Mike's the minute she's asking for that, Mike questions, how this quote unquote hire works. How is this Mike being quote unquote employed temporarily at Magical works. He's being very cautious giving this info, because again, it's going to be Mike Ermintrout officially on the books. It's not just him taking money on the table. It's not.
He also mentions, like, if there's one thing I know about Germans, they love a good audit.
Yes, and of course we know that Madrigal does tie into Germany. Been given the awesome payoff of Madrigal in season 5 with
sure.
Right, with the Herr Schumer. I think it's Schumer. The guy eating the chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
That guy. I love that scene so much. We'll get there one of these days. Anyway. So Mike's asking how the hires work. He's been very cautious. She basically outlines how it works. So basically, Mike gets a check for $10,000 a week for the next 20 weeks, and that'll be his as long as he's employed on the books. So that's essentially. And also, this is important. The T is a wonderful pleasantry, and I hope you caught that. Gus specifically is covering the FICA, the Social Security, and the tax burden, which means that. Mike's money in its entirety is coming to him. It means Fring's taking all the tax and all the extra charges off for him.
Oh, that's great.
It's a great little detail. It definitely makes kind of the payoff of this scene make even better with Gus's interest in Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so no additional deductions. Really awesome. So, of course, now Mike is marked down as initially he's marked down as a logistic consultant.
Yeah, and then he changed it to a security consultant, which sounds a lot better, Dragon. I think that definitely sounds like something in line with what Mike Ermintrout would do, like his specialties.
And of course, this wonderfully, it's a little reference to what we know happens in the future, where he is put on the books under Fring's payroll as security consultant.
Of course.
So let's see. So Mike, he really takes the time to understand and to understand the workings of this. He's very in a very blue collar. It's a very blue collar versus white collar scene. That's what I really like about Mike being. I kind of noticed this, and just wanted to bring it up just for novelty's sake. In the history of Breaking Bad, we've never seen Mike wear a tie. Just want to point that out. We've never ever seen Mike wear a tie.
Right.
Which is kind of creepy because literally everyone in this scene except the women, then especially Lydia, everyone else is wearing a tie. Except Mike. So it just kind of like it isolates him as kind of the blue collar guys. He just really simplifies his thing. So all right, you run the money through this place and you launder it and it comes out clean on the other side, right? And she confirms yes. And he makes sure Lydia's the only one who knows about this. And then she's like, okay, look, let's put the brakes on here. What's your concern, man? What's going on here, essentially? Mm-hmm. And this is a very fun reversal of where we see Mike and Lydia in Breaking Bad. It's an absolute fun reversal.
Yeah, because in Breaking Bad, remind me, like, Mike is basically the one, like, you do not want to deal with this woman.
Yes, but it's a fun reversal in that when we meet Lydia, when they have, like, their back-to-back kind of restaurant scenes, in the diner and everything, this is, like, after Fring is gone, then she has to come out of the woodwork. So she's coming to Mike saying, okay, well, now there's a lot of scrutiny after Fring's gone. So now she's the completely insecure, nervous one. And Mike's the confident one. And of course, we didn't see the origin. But again, this is like when Lydia was in power and like Fring trusts Lydia. That's the important thing. Again, we've never seen those scenes in Breaking Bad because she introduced her after Fring.
Sure.
So you buy how Fring trusts Lydia. I mean, she's very, very confident, very competent, and just she's reassuring Mike Ehrmantraut. That's a big deal. It's such a fun little, cosmic joke. It's going to be the other way years later.
Right.
So anyway, so basically you put some Mike at ease here by saying, let's see, so, all right, so after the Germans love a good audit line, Lydia puts Mike at ease with the fact that she oversees 8 freight terminals, which of course, dead freight.
Yes, of course.
She oversees 8 freight terminals across Texas and the Southwest, and if the IRS, and basically telling him that if the IRS looks into this, just assuming worst case scenario, the IRS looks into it. Mike on the books is a contractor for a multinational corporation with 114,000 employees. Wow, it's big worldwide.
Right.
And you're like. Basically telling him that you're like everyone else in this building. Basically, it's not going to rise suspicion if like his part of change in this huge multinational thing runs amiss.
It's a rounding error, as she calls it.
Yes, I mean even Lydia's on the books, just vouching for, hey, I'm on the books too. So I mean I'm as much on the line for this as you are. Asking if Mike asks if she's handled any of other Fring's guys like this, and then she reveals that this is a first for her. She's never had to do this for anyone, and whatever Mike does, again, she doesn't know, whatever Mike does, Gus Fring thinks that he's quite good at it, which that kind of earns Mike's trust right away that, okay, well, this,
right, that's a big deal.
It's always a big deal to earn the trust of Mike Ehrmantraut. Again, Fring and Mike, they got a thing going on.
Well, I mean, it's like these are kind of two titans in their own way, and they're kind of coming together. So it's a big deal on either end. You know what I mean? It's a big deal that Gus is stepping out of his way so much to help Mike, and it's a big deal that it's working, and Mike's actually accepting the offer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's see.
We get a great line at the end.
Yes.
So Mike is kind of.
Well, she also says, like, sooner you're off my books, the better.
Right. And then Mike's kind of questioning, like, you're sure risking a lot for a drug dealer. And really cool line from Lydia here. Really cool line. If that's all you think he is, then you don't know Gustavo Fring. Oh boy, really cool.
And 2 things. One, I wanted to point that I love that Mike compliments the office. Awfully nice office you got here.
Yeah.
Then of course we end on like but again, they love their glass table shots, not in a dirty way. They love their glass table shots.
Right.
All right, so then we have the malpractice representatives meeting.
Yeah, Howard and Chuck versus Santa Rosa.
Yes.
Because screw the town that Charles Schultz spent most of his life in. I'm sorry. Okay. So
I wonder if they're ever gonna make that joke.
Oh, I doubt it. It's probably a totally different Santa Rosa.
All right, yeah. For a second, I was just wondering. Yeah, Jimmy just always talking about the kind of like go land crabs and everything in the future. I mean, I wouldn't put it beyond the kind of like make a note of like, hey, here's a beloved icon from this town we're going up against.
Santa Rosa created Snoopy. Do you really want to go against Snoopy? Okay.
I can imagine him saying that. I guess that makes you Woodstock and him Snoopy then, right?
Okay, so basically what's going on is it looks like the premiums of every single person under HHM is going up 150%, I think, right? Due to Chuck's testimony and kind of mounting issues against him.
Yep, and of course, let's remember, Jimmy put this into motion.
Of course. Now, we don't really get any indication that they know that Jimmy's behind this, right? Jimmy kind of lucked out in that way. They just kind of assume that they heard it like kind of through the grapevine.
It's unclear because they throw suspicion off, saying it's that and a few other things that suggest that they know it's Jimmy.
Okay.
I'm reading into that, so I mean, I'm just saying that to me sounds like they're deflecting from like the source of it. So
right,
it could be that they just. I mean, again, they could easily find out that it's Jimmy. I'm just saying it's like they may not know in the moment that it's Jimmy. Again, it goes from one paper pusher to another paper pusher. It's gonna.
I'm thinking finding out that Jimmy was behind it is going to be more of a season 3 thing or season 4. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Sure, certainly. So anyway, so basically, just to boil it down here, so there's the malpractice representatives are offering HHM a choice. So double the premiums on every lawyer at HHM, or in all cases with all lawyers, yada yada. Or Chuck basically is supervised in court and during filings. Anytime Chuck is on the record, he's got to have someone supervising in case his condition flares up again.
Which just sounds humiliating.
It does. So again, I want to just to decompress what this is really saying here. It said the malpractice representatives are in the right here. They're doing legally what they're responsible to do, and they're not really. But they're actually being nice to HHM here by offering them that choice. They really don't have to offer them that choice. They just double the premiums.
Right.
So that's them just being nice to them, which I really do appreciate. That again, our malpractice guys aren't all bad here.
Sure.
And again, supervision is the ideal option to go, but it would be a big blow to Chuck's ego. And,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like for the normal person to be like, all right, I guess so. But for Chuck, it'd be like, I imagine Chuck would probably rather die than go that route.
Yeah. And while Hamlin's being in Chuck's corner for the beginning of this scene, he's also kind of pointing out, and this feeds into kind of Hamlin's constant thing with his characters, that he's always concerned about keeping HHM spinning, and he's not thrilled about the idea, even with the Chuck option, that again, it's going to require additional lawyers' time and money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically like attaching lawyers to kind of oversee Chuck's cases, time and money. Yeah. So regardless, the Chuck thing is not ideal, but again, mostly it's all on Chuck for why he's not thrilled about the option. Again, Hamlin's hearing it out though. So as Hamlin's hearing it out, Chuck, similar to Jimmy's in the scene. Like I think it's interesting what we're building here, and most likely for the episode 10, is that we're starting to see a parallel between Chuck and Jimmy and their way of dealing with other lawyers. Is that Chuck cuts through the legal BS and he points out that it's this is the company's way. This is the malpractice insurance guys, their way of basically trying to squeeze an extra dime out of HHM.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of basically pointing out in legalism what they're doing. Basically, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for them. Whatever they do, they can either we'll find another company or they'll get more money. And just Chuck pointing this as something that Jimmy would do. Only when Chuck does, it's more cocky and offensive, because then he takes it too far by threatening litigation.
Yeah, of course. And then
I love this moment.
The moment that he says that, you can just see the eyes in Howard Hamlin go dead. You can just see the panic, just like, oh shit, no.
Oh, Fabian. So let's say this, Tegan. This might be, at the very least in this season, this might be Fabian's best episode.
At the very least of this season, yes, I would argue for of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of great examples. Seriously, just the moment he said, like they ask, "Are you threatening litigation?" Then he says, "Yes." Hamlet in his chair turns, and then just as Chuck pushes further, then you see the panic, and oh god, it's just a perfect reaction by Patrick Fabian.
Yep.
Oh god. Anyway, so then they exit, of course, because the conversation ends the minute you bring up litigation, implying that hey, we're going to sue you and stay here. Basically, that deal's off the table now.
Right, we saw that moment play out in the promo. Very good tease there.
And then this to me was very telling, especially on a rewatch, that Howard gets the door. That's very symbolic that
Right,
he is
right,
Chuck's
yeah.
servant. That's at least how the partnership's been feeling. He gets the door while Chuck just sits there complacently,
Oh God.
all content with himself. So then, after they leave, Howard
And
immediately.
Chuck is just like so boisterous at this point. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna take down Snoopy, Howard. We're gonna take down Snoopy."
All right. Let's lay off the Santa Rosa Peanuts comparison. We have peanuts in this episode, but not those kind.
Oh God, we do have peanuts.
Anyway, let's see. So now this is interesting, and this kind of occurred to me in the moment after the rewatch is that the reason Hamlin's turning off the lights, and additionally he was getting at the scotch or whatever they're drinking, is he's basically padding the fall that's about to happen.
Sure. Yeah, he's making things as comfortable for Chuck as they possibly can be.
Certainly, trying to be his buddy here. So, hey, let's turn these lights off. Let's get something to drink. Here's a bottle filled with tea.
Oh.
Remember, most likely it is actually filled with tea. Alcohol usually is tea in movies. We can't get enough of his tea. No, a little serious. Just pouring him a drink in the middle of the day. Let's see. So, Chuck is as he's doing this, Chuck's just kind of laying out all these our next logistical move and for litigation. And by the way, on the rewatch, I call it what Chuck's actually saying in this scene. It's like, oh, he's just digging himself deeper and deeper. What he's saying, because what he's saying is he wants to pull a team of associates to comb through everything on the Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa malpractice guys, basically, hey, dig through every single file, find every single thing of wrongdoing that I just kind of hinted at there, and basically pull off a team of lawyers who be doing other things. Basically, this is again the complete opposite of what Howard Hamlin wants, because he hates when funds or lawyers are diverted from what they should be doing.
Right.
So again, this is just confirming what Howard wants to do, and it's just digging Chuck deeper.
Oh God.
Oh my God. So yeah, it's. So let's see. I know Chuck's really boisterous about. Oh, we'll send them a demand letter that'll make their head spin. Again,
Right.
McKeon just playing it like no sense of realization here. Just like he's caught up in his own little world of like, yeah, I'm the top dog lawyer. Yeah, I'm the Atticus Finch of Better Call Saul.
Oh God. Oh, that's totally what he views himself as. That's spot on.
So Howard brings up a retired litigator, another litigator.
Yeah, Al McConnell.
It's not as well known as Atticus Finch, but next second, he's in the top 5. Yes, Al McConnell, completely fictional. I'm pretty sure. So
is Atticus Finch. So
well, yeah. So basically, they bring up a litigator. Most likely, they knew, and he's now a UNM, a University of New Mexico, I believe. UNM professor now who wrote a book, and he was kind of teaching classes and stuff. And he mentions that he'd love for Chuck to speak to his class.
Yeah, speak to his class and kind of make it a regular thing. And of course, Chuck kind of catches on immediately, like, "What are you saying, Howard?
Yeah, let's talk for way down the line.
Maybe it's time to hang up your spurs, Chuck."
I love that you just hang up your spurs so cowboy-esque.
Basically suggesting he'd leave his name on the firm but focus on his legacy. So Howard, again, man, Howard Hamlin. He's been trying so goddamn hard this whole season, Dragon. This whole season, he's been trying so hard to be Chuck's friend. He has just been pushed to the absolute fucking limit. Oh man, you can just that is what I love about Fabian and Hamlin this season, Dragon. You kind of called it. It's like this is Hamlin's sort of dilemma. Like I don't know. I can't even find the proper words for it.
It's Hamlin's big stand against Chuck.
Right,
Hamlin's been kicked around. He's been caught in between the War of the McGills, and he's just fed up. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, and again, I just love how telling that line is, because again, it's the way Fabian plays it. It's a guy who enjoys his cushy lifestyle. Hamlin was a guy forced into a cushy lifestyle, but he's now enjoys his cushy lifestyle. It's all he knows. He's kind of afraid to step out of his office.
Sure,
we've seen, when he's jumping over fences to appease Chuck, and he's bringing clients to lunch. He's never had to sell clients before. It's Hamlin out of his element this season. And Chuck making all these rag decisions, forcing him out of his cushy office. This is the breaking point. But at the same time, fitting in with just what Hamlin does best, just that line of keep your keep your name on a building. But he's selling it as a way. He's kind of. It's moderately hypocritical, but again, I'm still on Howard's side during this. Howard's in the right, but when he says that, it's kind of like what he's going to be kind of calling Jimmy a hypocrite down the line. It's that, he's saying like, hey, Chuck, you should do this for your own good, but keep the names on there. Let's build a legacy.
Right.
He's spinning it so it sounds like it's Chuck going out on top, when really it's not. He just wants to keep HHM still keep the reputation. Doesn't want any doubt to fall into.
Yeah.
I would say the HHM's always, that's always what he cares about before Chuck friendship. So it's always. But you're right though. Again, it's like he tried to bend over backwards. Chuck's it breaks down here.
Yeah, so Chuck, of course, he very snidely says he doesn't appreciate the suggestion. And
what if it's not a suggestion?
Yeah, Howard grows a pair at this moment. He's
yes.
like, if enough people tell you you're drunk, Chuck, maybe it's time to sit down.
That's a great line, especially the fact that Chuck is sitting down in the scene and doesn't get up when that's kind of like his little miniature bar, but like, yeah, you could have gotten the door, Chuck.
Oh boy, and Chuck's kind of going after him. He's like, are you saying because of this insurance? No, the insurance is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Love that. And I love because again, this hits upon what Chuck's problem's been this whole series, is that again it's him blaming the illness. It's not again what alienated him. What's kind of caused all this mess is Chuck's egos.
Sure.
And also we have that great bit we see desperation on a lot of people this episode. We see desperation on Kim, Jimmy. Yeah, I'd say everyone. Even I'm not sure we see it on Hamlin. I guess in this scene is kind of Hamlin.
I think we see it on Hamlin.
I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, Hamlin, I'm wondering how much of it's last straw. But you're right, yeah, it's desperation. We see desperation on everyone in this episode. Especially, we're going to see more of it on Nacho, but we set up here. I'm just saying we see Chuck desperately. Remember when he's going around basically trying to prove that he's better? He's holding up like kind of the cool curvy lamps. And I love those cool curvy lights on the desk. Really, I always love those from a design standpoint. He's holding it up to his head almost, and he's just like, "See, I'm better." And then, of course, you see he's still like waving it off a little bit. Again,
this is not what fine looks like, Chuck.
Well, yeah, just again the desperation, not the condition. That's the point there. Oh boy, he's finally calling him.
You were the best legal mind I've ever known, hands down. But your decision making has become unpredictable, and I can't become partners with someone whose decision making I don't trust.
Yes, whose judgment I can't trust.
Just vary by the books, just explain it like it is.
And exactly, again, Hamlin is absolutely in the right. I mean, Chuck is so erratic, and he's always spending time on his personal vendettas. Again, Chuck is a big liability for HHM. He lost him. He lost him with Mesa Verde, because again he couldn't just let it go, and of course all the stuff with Jimmy and the bad reputation, the double the insurance premiums, which of course would make a substantial dent in HHM. And again, it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Then I just want to point out it's kind of the cosmic dinner joke, which we're going to hit upon later on, especially with Hamlin. We actually do literally call back the dinner thing that you love, Tiki. Where just right here's the setup is that again it's that cosmic joke that again Chuck alienated everyone, again not because of the thing. That dinner party wants to have, it's going to have no one there because he isolated everyone.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, hey, I'm better, and no one cares because he just chased them away. And then Chuck leaves. He's so frustrated he leaves the room. Meanwhile, Kim's with Bill Gatwood.
Billy Gatwood, yeah, another fun Texas guy on this show.
Yes, and this actor, I've seen a bunch of stuff. He's a character actor. I know him mostly from being an Impastor. He's like one episode spot on Impastor, but really good character actor from what I've seen. He's popped up here. Chris Mulkey, if I'm saying that right.
Okay. Yeah. So this border situation kind of calls to mind the whole Four Corners thing from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You want to explain it, Dragon? I have a feeling you can explain it better than I can.
Yeah, sure. Get all laid out.
The legalese of it all.
It's very, very simple. And Gatwood essentially, Kim and Gatwood are having their conversation, not in office, but on the oil drilling land.
I love how the oil drill is the sound of the oil drill is prominent throughout the whole scene.
Yes, and I love that as a setting, just seeing like the oil drill and everything. And honestly, with the pursuit of money this season, I think like drilling for oil is kind of a good kind of visual message, like good visual communicator of that.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, again, that's kind of that embodies Jimmy in a way. Like he's always drilling for oil. He's like an old oil prospector. Well, not an oil prospector. He's like an old prospector in this case, an oil baron.
He's like Daniel Day-Lewis, and There Will Be Blood.
Sure. So,
if I had a milkshake and you had a milkshake, all right, I'll stop.
Anyway, so basically, it gives Kim a walkthrough of the problem, which we had set up. Basically, we knew there was some sort of border problem, and now we're getting the details here. That I don't know how literal he's being when he draws a line with his foot, but essentially he's describing. I just assume he's personifying it.
Uh-huh.
That the wells are on the Texas side of the New Mexican border.
Uh-huh.
And he negotiated, mineral and property rights, which have led to giving the essentially they reached some sort of agreement where basically he's going to move on to like the next location. They point him to the next location in terms of, well, okay, this is across our border, so instead of taxing you a certain amount, we'll give you the next location. So going to the next location, and while he's getting oil from this location, they point him to the west wall while they're drilling of the salt dome, with a piece of drilling equipment. It gave way and poured accidentally. It pulled 100 yards over the border, which means, hey, happy payday, but it's over the border, which brings us back to the original problem. Basically, we're crossing over two borders, and which means we have unnecessary costs to deal with. So essentially, the New Mexican rights holders issue is that the problem is that he's facing taxes from the two states, from Texas and New Mexico, because again, it's on both sides of the land instead of just one that he's prepared to pay. So he's kind of facing additional taxes from both land and on every gallon. Basically, he's being taxed for every gallon of this accidental overflow.
Which definitely, when you think about it, seems like it would add up quickly.
Yes, and again, if it's an accident, again, so this guy's not in the wrong at all. It just happened, but it's kind of unfair to be charged double for an accident.
Right.
And they point up to it, so that's essentially the legal problem. So Kim confirms a few details to imply there's no additional stuff here. Is that okay? There's no equipment on the other side, all the stuff, including all of the. I just love this. It's a fun little Kim Muxer, but we don't really get a lot of seeing Kim on the job. And we see her facilitating this. We don't really see her doing law on the job.
Mm.
So she has this bit where she's the little drill bit thing. What do you call that? Drill bit? She says no, it's a sucker rod. But either way, it's just, I'm just saying confused. She doesn't know what the old drilling equipment's called. Anyway, so points out that none of the equipment's on the other side. New Mexico wants in on the Texas side. So basically, her advice to him is very simply this: don't negotiate a lease with the rights holders. You offer to pay damages. Essentially, very simply what this is, essentially pay off. Essentially, it's a payoff. Pay off New Mexico.
It's kind of a win-win for both people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they get some money out of it, but Gatwood doesn't have to pay nearly as much as he would if it was with the proper taxes and everything.
Yeah, it's a loophole of hey, if you pay for damage because this was an accident, pay for the accident that happened, so you don't really claim it for all it is, so you don't have to worry about the taxes. It's a way of kind of getting what you want without paying taxes. Mm-hmm. Yes, Again, that makes sense, right? I'm not at all.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, so again, it's and also the important. Here's the time sensitive thing. It's going to be important, especially for the next episode. Is that Gatwood informs Kim that while this seems like a very simple solution of that's good, I should have called you sooner. And you should have called her sooner because if this issue isn't wrapped up and settled by the end of the quarter, which is 2 weeks, if it isn't solved in 2 weeks, the tax boys are going to tear them apart.
Yeah, so she confidently says she can get it done by then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God! If they get all the holders in one place, they can talk them through it, and if they're smart, they'll go for it. Mm-hmm. And Gatwood, he's being very, very, very complimentary. He's
very impressed.
Talking about how Kevin, now I see what Kevin sees in you and everything like that.
Good for Kim.
And then Kim, she's being modest. She's like, "Well, let me work that miracle first, then we'll talk."
Yeah. So then he leaves. Importantly, this to me, I thought was important, especially on the rewatch, because I kind of missed out on this in the first watch of why isn't she just kind of call for help? Is that Gatwood mentions he has he just gets a call, or basically he knows he has something to do. He has to kind of tend to another kind of oil related matter. He has to talk business somewhere, and he's going to be late, I guess. So he goes off, and then Kim's about to leave, and then her she's recording notes in the car while she's driving, and then unfortunately she realizes that she's stuck.
Oh man, and this scene just this is an interesting scene.
Big foreshadow.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was first watching, I was like, okay, that was kind of tense. I don't exactly know what it means, and it's almost kind of like a cold open in the middle of the episode in a way.
In a way, yeah. So she doesn't call for help. She doesn't call Gat because he said, here's my cell. Call if you need anything. But again, he doesn't want to she doesn't want to look bad in front of the client, so she doesn't call him.
Of course, of course.
So she tries to, and this is kind of Kim to again. This scene is very symbolic of what Kim's been doing this whole season. She's trying to dig herself out of a mess. She's always like kind of in over her head and just literally pushing herself beyond what she needs to, and nearing a burnout disaster, nearing completely like blowing up at herself almost. Mm-hmm. The car's stuck. She uses some kind of discarded planks by the side to kind of prop up the car so she can push it, and she pushes it, and she has this. Oh yeah, and Ray Seahorn's brilliant in the scene, by the way. Just kind of this almost like Keaton-esque movement she's doing. She has like, oh no, she has to run to me. Very tense, because I was fearing I was on the edge of my seat. Oh no, she's gonna piss off the client by tipping over.
I was thinking that way too. Right.
So yeah, she basically, to move the car, she didn't have the brake on. I guess it's like on some sort of incline. So basically, like, hooray, she got it over she got it out of the hole. But oh no, it's rearing towards one of the oil things, and she stops it right at the nick of time. Importantly, stops it right at the nick of time.
Mm.
Frantically prevents the crash, and then we see is in the car. It takes a moment to kind of breathe, and it's like we see how stressed out she is. And this, to me, reads as we see her being as stressed as she is seems a little akin to how stressed that Jimmy was in episode 7 this season.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
And of course, it's reaching kind of an impact as it does in that episode, as we'd have this episode, which again we'll get to.
But then she takes a moment to herself, and then she instantly goes back to the tape recorder.
Yeah, which is again very telling that she's not taking it easy when she's
piling it on too hard. Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Burning the midnight oil.
All right, so we have Howard versus Jimmy, and
this is great. So good. We've been waiting for this scene since honestly all of season 2. We never had this face-off. We were big face-off.
Yeah.
All right, so Jimmy's been staking out the HHM parking lot because Howard's secretary has been stonewalling Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's just so desperate. He's just like, all right, Howard, it's time to settle on Sandpiper. Come on, let's do it. And
Howard's in a bad mood because, of course, he's had it up. He's so fed up with the McGills right now. He's had
right.
So he confronts him about the Sandpiper settlement, and I love this. I just love it. That's not even on Howard's mind. Just saying, "What about Sandpiper?" He's just like, "I'm focused on these other details. What do you got? What is it, Jimmy?" So he tells him about Sandpiper, about the settlement, and how. And then basically, I like that Jimmy gets it. I like that he points out, okay, I get what you're going for. Your higher payout, and also again, it's a natural way of getting exposition across, which I did like. Yes, I get what you're going for, Howard. You guys net millions while you give the clients an extra 1,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that detail is going to come into play later on, big time. And then Jimmy has a very interesting line that in the promo got me so hyped for this scene because I knew what this was calling back to. Basically, Jimmy says to Howard, interestingly, he says, "You're screwing the client for your own benefit, very high and mighty."
Oh, now you're worried about the clients.
So, and this mirrors a very similar kind of almost like it's a reverse version of a scene from season 1, maybe episode 1 if I'm getting it right. But the scene where Jimmy and Howard have a scene together, and basically Howard has this really great line where he says, Jimmy, sometimes we get so caught up with the thought of winning, we forget about what's really important, or we forget about the client. I think it might mention the client directly in that follow-up. So I'm just saying it's a really great kind of telling reversal of a scene. And again, that was like when Howard's saying, I'm not the bad guy, but Jimmy didn't pick up on it.
Right. So then Howard kind of lays into Jimmy. He's like, all you care about is your share of the payout.
He just sees right through Jimmy in this scene.
It's like talking to Gollum. You're transparent and pathetic. Dragon, I also have to mention how timely the Gollum references since Two Towers came out in 2002.
Oh, really?
So that's like a very, very current pop culture reference in the timeline.
I guess Howard Hamlin likes Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Howard Hamlin likes movies, unlike Sam Loomis.
Stupid Sam Loomis.
Anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, this scene, boys, this scene is so well acted because at the same time, of course, we root for Jim and we love the ever-lovable
But
Jim.
we love Hamlin too, so it's just so conflicting.
And of course, again, that very interestingly this season, we boiled down, Hamlin, as much as we love him, much as we had that revelation from season 1, Hamlin, again, he's not exactly he's not a golden hero by any stretch. I mean, he is still out for himself, but he's not in the wrong. Again, like Hamlin's just the guy, he just wants his fair share, which is to keep things spinning. That's all he wants. And he's not the doesn't mean he's an angel by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah. Again, it's like, and it's we see that definitely unfold here, where he's being mean, yet he's not speaking untruthfully about Jimmy in the scene. Because again, we know Jimmy's on the right now. This is almost in the rewatch. It's almost like a warning to Jimmy, like, hey, this is your chance to kind of do the right thing here, kind of prove Hamlin wrong. But Jimmy obviously does not take it. So.
No, he does not.
Jimmy has two opportunities to kind of to not go forward on this
Moments of change, if you will.
Yes, he has two moments of change. Hamlin here, and then he has his last chance towards the end of the episode. So yeah, right here again, it's just so cutting to hear it from Howard, and the fact that we, the audience, know, oh, Howard's right.
Yep.
Because Jimmy is absolutely he's again, as much as I'd like to think it's for the clients first and foremost, I know it's for Jimmy first.
You know it's for him. Yeah, right.
I mean, he's still in the back. It is kind of half and half, though. It's just the second half. It's deliberately the second half. It's like 51, 49?
Sure.
Whatever the percentage is. It's like it's an uneven percentage of it now. So again, it's the old folks are still. He wants to help the client out, but it's no longer his main concern. And Howard knows this season for what it is. Jimmy's invested in himself after the Gollum thing. Let's see, what does it say? Then Jimmy. This is where Jimmy starts to pull Saul Goodman here. He chases after him like Saul Goodman, and he says it's in everyone's best interest. Again, kind of taking the hit on the chin from Howard. He's still going forward. Which is the desperate. Oh wait, we almost missed the best part.
What?
After he says you're transparent and pathetic, we then have the most painful bit, where he offers him the handout. You want a handout?
Oh my God! Yes. Oh, thank you. Oh, Jesus.
God, we would have been kicking ourselves.
Yes, we would have. We would have.
That to me was that is one of the best. That shows Jimmy's desperation. Just this, it makes you feel so dirty about Jimmy. This episode, yeah, that shows you Jimmy's not. That's what he wants. He wants a handout. Jimmy's been desperate for cash this season, and we've been rooting for him while he's been desperate for cash. But
I would say that's also one of Hamlin's most spiteful moments. At the same time,
rubbing his success in Jimmy's face. Yes.
Exactly. Right.
Want a handout here, and then he has the great follow up, the really cruel follow up line. Next time, bring a tin cup.
Ooh,
it's more honest.
This episode is just it tears us apart, man. It's just like two guys that we know have not really been on the same page throughout the series, but they've been at least like mutually respectful towards each other, and now this is like the big divide.
Yes, absolutely. Again, this is kind of, the big scene at the end of this episode might rival it, but it's kind of this are equivalent to the Chuck revelation from episode 9 of season 1.
Sure.
It has the intensity of that. It has really kind of crestfallen feel they have after seeing it. Like, oh God. And again, it's the fact that we know that Hamlin's right. That's what makes it so painful. Is that
absolutely.
Hamlin's being a little cruel about it, but again, understandably, he's been fed up with these two brothers, what they've been doing.
Right.
So then we have the great cutting. Then like Saul Goodman, then he pursues him inside and goes into the door while the elevator. And of course, we haven't been in this parking garage for a long while.
Yeah, you're right.
So then here we go. So it's in everyone's best interest, and then Hamlin undercut them, saying, "It's in your best interest." And what are you going to do if we don't? If we don't, you're gonna go to the members of the class, basically appeal to the members of the class. You're gonna leak insider information to Schweiker. I doubt it. You're low enough. Basically saying you're low enough to do that. To take a shot like that, but you're too greedy to jeopardize your payday, which I think would be it's a good setup line for next episode. You're too.
That's what it's all about. That's what this whole episode is about. Is that chunk of change?
Oh yeah, and then of course the most cutting. This is kind of like it's sort of like kind of the father's it's like the rich father cutting off the spoiled son almost. It's kind of like you'll get your money. You'll just have to wait for it. And the door's closed. Oh my God, such a perfect scene. It's such a perfect cutting episode 9 scene. So I just want to read into Hamlin just for a bit here. It's like Howard. I get a sense what's built behind this scene. Why this scene? We've been waiting for this scene so long. Howard's. He's been let down by his little Charlie Hustle. He has.
Yeah, he has. Right.
Because think about it. As we know about Hamlin, again, Hamlin wanted to hang his own shingle. He's more of a businessman than he is a lawyer. He's always been that. He's the guy in the cushy office. On the way down, Jimmy could have been because he got out of it because he wasn't welcomed into HHM. He was alone, being a lone lawyer. He could have been what Howard wanted to be, and I think Howard knows that on some level. And And again, like even past that, Howard's offered Jimmy every opportunity to improve his life, even become like part of a law firm. Again, Davis and Maine, and of course,
Davis and Maine was like the start, man. That was like the first thing Jimmy did that really kind of shot Howard's reputation in the foot.
yeah,
Howard like specifically stood up for Jimmy in that situation.
yeah, Howard and Kim, but especially Howard. And now, again, that was a way of Howard making up for like how he mistreated him because of Chuck. That was Howard's recompense. And at the end of season 1, and again, it's just every opportunity. Just Jimmy keeps squandering these opportunities. And then after that, of course, he keeps digging at Howard. He lost Mesa Verde, which is it's an embarrassment. Takes Mesa Verde from him. He undermines Howard's authority constantly. Because just all the very public insults from season 1, and just kind of he keeps the commercial from Davis and Maine too.
Right.
And then of course the feud between him and Chuck just keeps jeopardizing HHM. Every dig between the two brothers keeps. Now, of course, double premiums. HHM keeps getting endangered. His cushy office job keeps getting endangered, and he's just tired of this. Tired of his war. He's tired of being an innocent in the mix, in the middle of it all. And it's, and also I think that whole you're gonna have to wait for your payday. That might be, I could be reading this. That might be Howard's little revenge against Jimmy of like, you know what? How am I going to stick with the Jimmy for all these? I'm not going to make a scene or like start a war like Chuck. I'm just going to make sure he waits as long as and maybe that's why he's waiting on the deal.
I could totally see that, right?
Again, it might be just squeezing an extra million out, which again wouldn't put it past lawyers, but at the same time, it could just be for personal reason why he's holding out for so. And of course,
which I think in that case it would be kind of like not looking into the client's best interest.
True. Yes. So you have to wonder.
I think it's very morally ambiguous from both sides of the coin. Which again, I think the moral ambiguity of the show is why we love it so much.
Absolutely. Of course, he throws Jimmy's money problems in his face with the handout, and I guess lastly, it's just it's every time you challenge the big aftermath of this scene that transitions us into the future scenes is that he challenges McGill's ego with the whole you're too greedy to pull something like that, which of course is a challenge to Jimmy to actually do what Howard's saying he'll never have the guts to do, which of course leads to a big problem.
Right.
So again, just oh my god, such a fantastic scene. Let's move on before we get too hung up on it.
Okay, so we have Hector, just a very, very tense scene between Nacho, Gus, and Hector. Hector's just kind of playing with his lighter. Oh boy. And then
We're at the chicken farm again, I think.
I believe it's Bolsa that calls, right?
Yes, it is Bolsa that calls. And by the way, just because of this scene here, because it's so reminiscent of kind of the deal, the deals, the conflict resolution scenes we've had in at the chicken farm.
Sure.
The cousins wanting Walter White's head, and of course, Jesse killing the dealers. With those scenes, the Gus Fring, Poyos Hermanos training videos, they did one on conflict resolution to tie in this. They made many references to two employees kind of having an issue with each other, and basically like Pinkman killing the guys. That's kind of what they did here. And it's very much like this scene.
Okay. So
I love how they keep it tied into the episodes. Anyway, go on. So Bolsa calls.
Yeah, Bolsa calls. He's saying, I had a conversation with our friend by the pool. He's very impressed with our progress. He loves the new shipping method.
I love that as a nickname for a lot of you, the man by the pool, because he's always near that pool.
Yep.
He's always by that
pool. Let's see. He says, Fring's method is the only way they'll do it moving forward. The system has less exposure, less risk. From now on, everything moves through the Chilean.
So this is important for two reasons. One, it's that this is I guess for a few reasons, it's cementing the Breaking Bad path. Okay, that's why we only see the trucks being used.
Right.
Secondly, this is an insult to Hector. This is an insult to Hector saying,
Hector is not pleased whatsoever.
Because remember, Hector just forced his product on the Fring, one to make his, to make his shipments, but also just to stick at the Gus to show him who's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because that's why he went to Nacho thinking, the thing is temporary. Using the Poyos trucks is temporary because he hates just working with Fring, like they're kind of riding off Fring's coattails, and he wants to have a new method of distribution, which is why Nacho's father's in jeopardy. I gotta mention for a moment, you gotta think Nacho's kind of having a sigh of relief for a moment when he hears this, and of course, when Hector freaks out, he knows is doomed.
Yeah, of course, Hector just, Hector is not pleased, to say the least. He's not pleased.
And there's a moment in this thing I appreciate it so much, and I love how they communicated this. Is that they communicated this perfectly. We've always kind of had this in Sabrosito especially, but they definitely did it here. So Hector freaks out hearing hello, hello, Hector, do you hear me? As he throws the phone, he makes a scene, and in his own freeing in the most professional way possible in Hector's native language, because I forget if Chileans the same, if they're speaking, they already speak the same language. Regardless, just Gus is saying very professional. Again, it's like
I never asked for this. I do not want this.
Just Gus knows how to get under Hector's skin because he knows.
Yes, like he's being professional, but at the same time, he's just rubbing the salt in the wound.
It's like the old adage of you trap more flies with honey than vinegar.
Sure.
And in this case, like that's a strategy for Gus of what's going to get under Hector's skin, what's going to really piss him off for killing, and my revenge for him killing my partner is I'm not going to be all intimidating and really try to rival. I'm going to be all nice and really nice. I'm going to be real super nice to him. It's going to piss him off because again, what they show in the scene is that Hector's so mad at Gus because he knows. Yeah, Gus isn't saying anything I should be getting mad at him over. I'm just so pissed off that he's doing.
Right.
He's just so mad that he's being so accommodating and professional. It's fueling the jealousy. I'm jealous that I'm not that guy.
And then Hector just starts going numb. He grabs for the pills. He gets a face that looks very much like the same type of like Tio Salamanca face we see in something like Grilled. You know what I mean? Very much just building up that moment. And then we get, if I may unleash some profanities, Dragon.
All right, go ahead.
Fuck Eladio, fuck Bosa, and fuck you. Oh God!
I love that when they aired this. DVD, it's going to be uncensored. But
of course.
It's kind of rare that they got kind of 3 in a row there.
Yep. I was impressed.
Yeah, because I know sometimes they can squeeze like an additional one in there, especially on the DVD. But sometimes, usually it's supposed to be one per season. That's the rule.
Right. Take that, BoJack Horseman.
Right. Well, again, yeah, you're right.
I know. BoJack does it artistically.
So he takes a pill, and now initially I was. It turned out to be the way I originally thought it was going to be. That Nacho he just filled the pills like something not medicine. He just like anything like might have been just sugar. It may have been sugar pills or something. He just put powder into them.
Okay.
And because initially I thought it was okay. He's just going to play the waiting game. Just going to make sure he takes the actual medicine out, just puts something in there, so basically it can't be traced back to him.
Right.
Then when he pulled the switch, for some reason I thought he might have put like a poison in there that's not ricin, but a poison. But then I realized, watching this episode, of course he's not going to do that because he wants to make sure there's no trace back to him. There's no foul wrongdoing going on here. So
and
of course
he still has to switch it out as well, which is going to be a problem.
Absolutely, I'm just saying he doesn't want poison in his system, so he died of natural cause.
Of course,
he's not going to put a poison or a ricin filling in those things at all. It's purely he's putting like sugars, anything in the pills. Now, as they leave, so Hector gets all pissed off. They leave, and importantly, Gus and Nacho exchange a look that suggests that Gus is going to Nacho.
Yeah, I could see that. At the
very least, he knows that Nacho's looking really nervous when he took that pill. So Gus is so much in a look like that. Giancarlo Esposito. Give him a look at me.
Oh yeah,
it's an Emmy with big like binoculars on it.
Oh God. Okay.
All right.
Oh, here we go, Dragon. Here we go.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
So Jimmy's at the mall with some swanky new shoes.
In his mall walking gear.
Oh, yeah. Dragon, did you catch the crazy 80s Easter egg?
Yes, I did. A part of me wondered, a part of me really wondered that. I doubt it, but I love this. That maybe across the way we're not seeing it is Tampico. Is Tampico place, and that's where he got the idea for Crazy 8 as a name. Across from.
You're right.
Crazy 8. That's a good name. I doubt it because I think they have their own store somewhere. Walt was never specific where Tampico is. If it's its own store, maybe it's a store within a mall. Yeah. So, anyway.
Okay, so we have the entourage. Ooh, Jimmy! They're all like little Miss Piggies, Dragon. They're so sweet.
I think they are sweet. I think the Miss Piggies a bit much, but I like it. but also, of course, the mall setting does, of course, bring to mind Gene a little bit.
Of course, yeah, right. That's a good catch.
Again, we're moving really fast with Jimmy in this episode, so of course we're like teasing a little bit of Gene. So yes, the entourage of the Sandpiper women.
So Irene asked, she's just like, "Oh, you girls go on. I'll catch up with you." Being very nice, very pleasant.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
poor
God.
Irene.
Oh God.
I kept
Irene
writing
is
in my
just,
notes, poor Irene.
she's about to be thrown under the bus hard, Dragon. And Dragon, let me just say, both my grandmothers are still alive, right? And they do have a lot of friends, and sometimes their friends get into drama with each other. So I've seen the same sort of situations that this episode plays at. So this episode was a little personal for me, just fucking with old ladies. It's like, oh God. Okay. Anyways, let's get into it.
All right, it's gonna be like ripping off a band-aid. Let's get through it. All right, so okay, after they exchange pleasantries, once alone, so once they move forward and he's just chatting her up, he pulls a slipping Jimmy on Irene.
Oh God.
Well,
Oh God.
Kim has gotten a pair of these fancy new
Well, first of all, he's they're talking up like the mall walker bit, like he kind of says like he was in pain before because of the walking, but now Dragon, he's got the solution, he's got the cure, and there's where he enters the special kind of the shoes with the gel resistant coils.
And they look like neat shoes, by the way.
Dragon, I can attest to this. I don't like the whole Dr. Scholl's inserts or Magellan inserts, but I do really like shoes with the gel already in the shoe, like under the under the shoe, like built in. Like it is very comfortable, Dragon.
Yeah, I got some of those actually.
Yeah, right. So
anyway, so let's see. So here's, just for Jimmy's sake, just to kind of add some sort of levity to this episode, I'd like to think that Jimmy actually, he went all out with the shoes, and they're not just like, it's not going to be a horrible thing that he sold her on cheap shoes.
I would hope so.
I'm just hoping that he had at least the decency.
We're like grasping on its straws on this one, right?
No, I'm just hoping that he actually wasn't lying about how comfortable and everything the shoe was. I'm just hoping that they were like top of the line shoes, because dang it, she's wearing them, so I assume that they are top of the line.
Sure.
So, a little revenge against Jimmy for the horrible thing he does. He had to buy a whole lot of them shoes. So it's not much, but it's something. Anyway, so here's the cons.
But that just goes to show how desperate he is, though, right? Just the whole trunk full of shoes. It's just like, oh, Jimmy, what are you playing at, Jimmy?
So to explain the trunk full of shoes, basically he has this line about Kim got a pair of these fancy walking shoes, but they don't fit her, and then maybe they might fit you. It heads outside, and of course, after he gets her size, he says he's looking through this trunk full of these shoes. That truly does show desperation. You're right.
Yep.
Every size shoe is in the trunk of his car. He gives them to her, and he puts them on her. Says, fits like a glove. And basically says, "Oh, Jimmy, these are wonderful, but I can't take these. How much do I owe you?" Oh.
And Dragon, this is like the clinch of Jimmy's con right here, but he says it so nicely.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you know what, you can do one thing for me. Don't tell the other folks I gave them to you, because I don't want to look like I'm playing favorites.
Curse your likability, Jimmy.
Oh God. And Irene just takes it so well. She's just like, "Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much."
God,
Dragon,
this is the closest to kicking a puppy we're ever gonna see on AMC.
This is awful. This is fucking awful.
My notes are it's a little frowny face next to Jimmy's most horrible Slippin' Jimmy montage.
Yeah, and this is just bad, Dragon. This is bad. It's close to being evil.
It is, but
close to being evil.
The only reason, the moment I think solidifies itself the punchline to the whole con, but in this montage, all I can say, the only reason I can't say it's evil is because we know he's not necessarily doing anything illegal. He's not ripping them off of money. It's the only.
I think that makes it worse.
It does. That's what makes he's doing it. I want to make it clear. He's still slipping Jimmy in what he's doing here. Just the moment of change. That's a Saul Goodman moment. This is all again. It's really scummy, but he's trying to get the money, so it's not terrible.
So basically, let's go through it. What he's doing is he's sitting down with the other women in the entourage. And he's kind of like trying to work it into casual conversation, it's like, and if Irene settles, you get some money, but hey, it's not like you guys need it, right? Like, I mean, I don't want to speak out of school, but the offer's big. Yeah. But everyone's situation is different, but who doesn't like nice new things?
Yeah, essentially, Jimmy's manipulating Irene's pals and Sandpiper to alienate her.
I'm sorry, he brings up the he brings out how Irene's situation is different. Like, oh, she's buying a lot of new things recently, and then one of the other women brings up like those shoes. Yeah, like those shoes. Here we go. Son of a bitch.
So
I've never wanted to punch Jimmy McGill in the face more than I do right now, Dragon.
So, yeah, I mean, he's spreading the word through these various, just to kind of boil it down to as well. I mean, you covered it, Graham. He's spreading, he's spreading the word through various senior activities and meeting places. I love the setting of that.
Right.
I mean, as horrible as this scene, again, horrible in the way of like for our character, like, oh, we love Jimmy, he's making a horrible choice here. Not horrible in execution by any stretch. It's executed very well because love like these various senior activities that Jimmy's taking. I just love Jimmy's
yoga. He actually takes them up on the yoga. I love that. He takes the weight check and he takes them up on it.
That's what I love. I'm so conflicted in this scene because I think it's such a wonderful idea. Jimmy's, he's hanging out with these old ladies, and again, it's actually what Jimmy does because old people love him. It's like it's taking that sweet, lovable idea, but adding this
weaponizing it.
Yes,
yep. So that's what he's doing.
He's weaponizing pleasantness.
I wonder how Nick Ford would feel about that.
It's my Nick. I want to go on a tangent, but I'm not going to.
Okay, don't. Yeah, please.
Okay, I have a spin-off movie with Nick Ford. Remind me of it later.
Okay.
So, anyway, so let's see. Basically, spreading the word through various senior activities, meeting places that they haven't seen a settlement. They haven't seen their settlement money because of Irene, and he speculates, terrible rumors why, which includes, he explains in a very in this scene, while he is still slipping Jimmy, he does explain in very Saul Goodman ways. How the settlement works. So just to highlight the activity. So while they're watching TV, which it's a lawyer, I'm embarrassed to say I can't recognize. I'm waiting to the Insider podcast to figure out who the lawyer is. But I don't know. It's just a notable TV lawyer, most likely TV lawyer. I don't know. Basically that's where you get the speaking out of school bit. Basically he was like going, the settlement. I love that chair shot. I love that. I love casual Jimmy's wearing that scene. But it was
right.
My favorite is when they're playing pool. I just love the idea of Jimmy playing pool with the old gals. I love that. It's an awesome setup there.
Where do we get the peanuts?
That's coming up right next.
Okay.
So that's when the nice shoes bit is in the pool scene.
Mm-hmm.
So then, no, not water aerobics, playing pool.
Yeah, I get it.
That would have been a fun extra one. Then they're knitting. While they're crocheting and knitting, then Jimmy, sitting next to me, pulls very much like a Saul Goodman explaining laundering to Jesse Pinkman with the nail polish. Pink for Pinkman. Very much like that. Again, very Saul Goodman way of explaining this. He pours the nuts in a bowl. He basically divvies them up to the old gals, explaining, okay, here's what the lawyers are getting, and here's what you're getting. And if the lawyers they hold out like this, then they get more of this, and you get this. Basically, one nut each. So basically, again, they get $1,000, the lawyers get millions. That's kind of what he's communicating.
Right.
And again, he's not lying. That's the thing. Jimmy's not lying. He's just holding back the truth about certain things. Like, again, the shoes he gave the shoes. Not saying that.
Exactly.
And again, and this too, I call him the rewatch. That Jimmy makes it clear again for legalese. He says, "I'm not." Basically, Jimmy reminding them that he's not a lawyer right now. That's him kind of.
Of course.
That's him working his way out of a legal conversation. Him like pointing out that, hey, it's like him not being a lawyer at the moment really helps him in this scene of like, yeah, I wasn't a lawyer to these people when I was talking to them. Then we get the chair yoga.
Right. That absolutely is a loophole for sure.
Yeah. Then we get the chair yoga, which is hilarious. She doesn't. Again, this is like another very slight redeeming thing. Of course, Jimmy will justify things to himself, and I feel like I'm playing Jimmy's lawyer here, but I just got to point it out. He's defending Irene the most he can to make the con work here, because he's saying that no, she doesn't get more than you guys, but she is just special in the court's eyes.
Yeah, she's just the one who makes the decisions.
Exactly, not lying, but he's putting a lot of he's making sure Irene's not seen as a turncoat, but at the same time she is the holdout.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh god.
And again, because him ripping off the other, that's way too far. He's walking a tightrope, and he's falling.
Who needs money when you have the moral high ground, right?
And that's their payoff to the ending of season 1. By the way, that's like the whole why didn't we take that money? He said to Mike. That's what that line embodies. That.
Sure.
So poor happy. The scene is punctuated.
This scene is heartbreaking. This mall.
Oh God. So Irene is she's so happy walking with her new shoes.
Yeah, with her new shoes. Yeah,
and her friends are. And I always in malls. I always remember like kind of that weird crossover with the guardrails. So it just looks so familiar. So they're walking on the other side in a group, and she's all alone saying, "Hello, you."
Oh God.
And they ignore her completely, and it's poor Irene. Jimmy, how could you? It's throughout the episode I'm going, especially in the next scene. Throughout the episodes, throughout this whole entire scene, and especially the payoff, I'm going, Jimmy, how could you do this? Jimmy, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Right.
Which fueled me telling Tiki is the most horrible thing we've ever seen Jimmy McGill do is in this episode.
Yep. I would agree so.
Unspeakable. All right.
Okay, all right. Now that situation's over. Oh God. From one disappointment dragon to now we have a scene where Nacho's father is going to be not at all. Wait for it. He's not going to be proud of his boy. All right. Okay. Yeah.
He's not proud of his boy.
Oh,
Nacho's papa is not proud of his boy.
But this scene is another. It's so sad too, right? It's just like the inevitability of it.
To quote Vera Farmiga, so
sad.
Yes.
So Nacho's kind of explaining the situation. He's like, a bad man's gonna come, Papa. You have to let him run the store. You can't say no. Then of course the father asks who the man is, and as soon as he says Hector Salamanca Dragon, the father's heart just breaks. You can see it break. You can see it on the actor.
Now, two things. I'm sorry, I was going to note two things. So the two things to know is that, of course, this is Nacho at his most desperate. He was hoping the heart thing was going to pay off before he would have to make this call. Because I would assume that Nacho's smart, because we know Nacho's a smart guy. He's smart enough to realize that Hector, as pissed off as he was after getting that news, means he's going to pursue going after Nacho's family business even more so, just the stick at the guts. Because again, Bolza told him, we don't need any additional businesses. We're just going to use this one. But Hector's just out of vanity. He's just going to try to show up Gus unnecessarily.
Sure.
Nacho's father not only is in danger, but now the timetable's been moved up further, which means he can't just wait it out. He has to warn his father because Nacho's desperate, so he's doing something he never wanted to do. And the other thing, the other thing is that there's a little tidbit of history here that suggested that Nacho had his father knew. It suggested that his father knew that Nacho had a run-in with Hector Salamanca.
Right.
Most likely told him, like, don't get wrapped up in that crowd. Stay, be a good boy, Nacho, that sort of thing.
And I'll be proud of my boy.
I'll be proud of Nacho.
Oh, what have we started with that gag, Dragon? What have we started?
Well, it has paid off remarkably throughout the season.
It has, yes.
Anyway, so then, this is a sad. It's so tragic because again, you see here's my favorite part of the scene. This is like kind of one of those Kim Wexler moments, but instead of Kim Wexler, it's like a father-son moment.
Right.
It's like there's like calling themselves on it. Like Nacho just wonderfully says to his father, and loving his father, he wants to keep his father safe. He's saying, "Look, yell at me, disown me. I don't care. Just please promise me when the man comes, you'll do what he says. It only lasts for a few weeks. Do it. Just promise." He doesn't say that it's going to get him killed. He says, "Don't do. I know you're going to do the right thing. Don't do anything stupid." Just.
I know what you want to do, but you can't.
Absolutely, and again, it's so tragic. I love how his father just doesn't scream at him. He just loves it. He's so the disappointment you feel. It's like,
it's like, how can I ever trust you? And then Nacho's just best for. He's like, promise me you won't do anything stupid. Promise me, Dad.
Please.
Yeah, and then he's just like, get out of my house. And then
again,
Nacho just very, very stoically doesn't put up a fuss, just leaves as told.
but I do like that he does, he pleasantry. He dumps the milk in the sink.
Right.
Just saying nice thing.
Doesn't weaponize pleasantry like Jimmy does.
But speaking of that, what we need to do to Jimmy is to set him straight. We need to put him in a. We need Mr. Varga to give him some fatherly guidance. We need him this basically because Nacho feels really dejected and disappointed in that. So we need that from Jimmy. We just need him to set Jimmy straight. Put him in the corner. I'm not even saying he's gonna speak in Spanish the whole scene. Jimmy's just gonna get it because he can read the subtitles.
Okay.
Or to make it this last minute, just imagine this. While he's saying this, he has Jimmy has the glasses on, like a little mini English to Spanish to English dictionary, and he's looking up at, yeah, that's. Oh, I feel bad about myself there. Just flipping the page. Just going from. Can you say that part one more time? Yeah. Okay, I'm bad. I've been a bad lawyer.
Oh God. Okay.
All
right. So let's see. We have a message delivered to Hamlin via Chuck. By
Julie, his secretary. Yep. And I love this. This is great. This is a wonderful edit, by the way. So Hamlin, before he opens the letter, so confident it's either going to be a retirement. It's going to be a letter confirming his retirement or a resignation. Either way, Hamlin wins. He's going to throw a retirement party. So which is kind of that's kind of telegraphing the whole the party thing, Dragon. Exactly. That is a way that retirement party would actually, if Chuck actually went for it, that would be a way of Chuck getting half of what he wants. Which again is better than nothing. At least there would be a packed room full of people celebrating Chuck's achievements and everything. It's like they'd be wishing him best for the future. Hey, Chuck, you did really good. And again, he has an in with going around still bolstering his legal career. Again,
sure.
Again, things could actually work out for Chuck. You just wouldn't see the inside of a courtroom officially, but again, that's the compromise. But so Hamlin's saying, you book someplace nice, have the band play something jazzy. It's lovely. He just specifies the jazziness. Well, then he opens the letter. We have this wonderful edit here.
God damn it, Chuck!
And then we just cut to him opening the door and saying what's directly on the letters, just summarizing the letter to Chuck. You're suing HHN. You're suing Hamlin McGill. Man, just Michael McKean just
come on in, Howard. Come on in.
Just so casually. Come on in, Howard. It's just yeah, we'll have this conversation inside. Oh boy! So this is Chuck's attempt at. It's kind of a mixture of Chuck's attempt at revenge on Howard, and at the same time, it's a cutting way of him demonstrating his progress to Howard
and his superiority.
Yes, with the he has the lights on, as Howard points out. The lights are on. He has using the electrical cooking stuff.
Right.
Like some sort of mixers and mixer thing. Very, very 2002 impractical mixer,
Yeah, right.
So he's calling. Essentially, he's calling Howard's bluff.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds Howard. We get some backstory here, which we're dying for him. We get some backstory that Chuck and Hamlin's father built HHM, especially Chuck. It was just a two-room office, which is eerily similar to Jimmy and Kim.
Yep, right.
Yeah, which may build some jealousy with Chuck saying they're starting off just like I started off. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so if you want me, basically it boils down to Chuck saying, if you want me out, you pay me my share. I love this paid off because I've been bringing this up since it was brought up in season 1. Chuck taking his share, which now interestingly he says Chuck is asking for $8 million, which he knows the firm does not have. Now, this suggests, to break it down one moment, is that Jimmy said $17 million in season 1. That is most likely him working down from a negotiation. He's aiming really high so he can work it down, just $17 million for really building Chuck up. And most likely, if I were to guess, if I were a betting man, I'd say that each member of the law firm got $8 million each, so like $24 million altogether.
Okay.
So $8 million a share, and assuming Howard either absorbed his father's share, which would make it $16 million, $8 million for Chuck, or for some reason Howard's father's share is no longer in the company, so just they have both have $8 million. Of course, if Chuck is no longer there, it means they're down to $8 million for their entire firm, which is not good. Which means they're going to have to do what Chuck knew was going to happen way back in season 1. They're going to have to cut jobs and half the firm's going to they're at the salvage money at every. It's going to be really downsized.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of his brilliant sadistic kind of ploy against Howard. I will tank HHM if you if you don't take back your little retirement idea.
Right, right. And
And
then we
then,
get the great line.
yeah.
You think I'm trouble with you as my partner? Imagine me as your enemy.
Oh yeah, that is a really great threat. I gotta tell you, just again, I just love how in awe Fabian is in the scene. We're just saying, you tear down HHM, then you'd rather tear down HHM than retire.
Yep, pretty much.
And again, this confirms the unpredictability of Chuck that Hamlin's fed up with. And again, you can't blame Hamlin. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, and this episode is absolutely just Chuck just nuking his career, basically.
and again, all for his ego. And again, as much as I mean, it's the sympathy we developed some sympathy for Chuck in the late episode, in these last couple episodes. And again, it's like kind of
It's
torpedo.
squandered. It's gone.
Yeah, it's come on, Chuck, you're willing to you're gonna make Howard Hamlin live in a box somewhere?
I know, right? You're gonna make Howard Hamlin have to buy off-brand suits.
See, that's the realistic. I was thinking more exaggerated. It's gonna like live in a Lipton tea box, but your version's off that, of course.
Like Howard Hamlin's, we've been over this before. Like he's buying the blue suit, and it's not Hamlin to go blue, and Hamlin's just like, "This isn't right."
Yeah, I did pitch that on my back one for off-brand. That would have been the big, hey, the title's actually what happens in the episode.
Right.
Having to buy off the rack like Kim.
anyways.
Because again, if I'm right, Tiki, every episode in the suit he has more than the Hamble Indigo blue shirt. Because the Hamble Indigo blue shirt is a blue shirt with the white lapel on it. You know, the white
Sure.
color mark.
Mhm.
All right. So let's see. So after Chuck issues his threat, but Hamlin's about to say something. Chuck just kind of cuts him off, saying, "Look, if you want to talk further, we're going to talk further in court. I mean, what else is there to say?" Then a really peeved not even peeved, he's like really just beyond words, beyond comprehension. Like he just leaves.
right.
And then Chuck stops at the electricity, and he's kind of turns everything off the minute he leaves, and he's repeating his mantra, kind of going like his therapy, which is like blue, the items in the room. He's kind
The
of
blue
going over
pot, yeah.
blue
Okay.
pot, red wine, whatever. And this, and again, I get a sense the reason he had all the stuff going there, that was just to kind of dig the knife in deeper to Howard, saying, "Hey, when you essentially fired me, that put me in the position leaving, whatever. That was me on the mend, and basically that's an additional kind of salt in the wound for him. That hey, if we pursue this in court, you're gonna look really foolish when I'm on the mend, and you let me go for a really stupid reason."
Sure.
Oh yeah.
That stuff. Okay, so now we have Jimmy he's just sliding more and more, dragging more and more. He's taking a page out of the Walter White handbook with his use of magnets.
Yeah, magnets.
Magnets, bitch. Yeah. All right.
So Jimmy injects magnetic primer, essentially like almost looked like mercury, but it's just like liquid magnetic goop.
Mm-hmm.
He injects that into the bingo balls, and Lovely brought the bingo back, by the way.
Of course. And again, this episode is just totally paying off all the elder law stuff in the most cutting way. Like, oh God, who would ever thought it would have come to this?
Just this is a cruel move on Jimmy's part to pay off here. This is what he does here. Yes, so Jimmy's.
I mean, he's already done a lot of damage, but this is essentially making sure that the salt gets rubbed right into the wound.
Yeah, this is the coup d'état, if you will. The coup de grace, whichever. So Jimmy returns to hosting bingo in his Matlock suits. The Matlock suit came back.
Yes.
And of course, he's the charming host as ever. He's going through it, with every letter he's adding like
yeah, he's got like let me see. He's just.
I don't have any of them. So if you have any,
I have a few. He's like
I remember the first one was like B9 for hope that I hear the doctor say that's benign.
I-29. I remember when I was 29. I bet you do too.
I wonder if Odenkirk improvises some of those.
I'm sure he does. Okay, and Irene comes in, and she's getting snubbed from sitting down with her group.
Oh, the one friend puts her hat on. So, and of course, that's a signal to Jimmy because the round ends. So she walked in at just the right time as Paul. And we see him. It's so conflicting because he's still being so nice to the old folks. Like, hey, Paul, come on down to the winner's circle.
I love how excited Paul is. He's like, "Oh my God, bingo!"
Yeah. It's like finding out. It's like your hero's letting you down type vibe. Like, oh, Jimmy, how could you? How could you fall from grace so far? Of course, we knew this was coming, but still, it's not the point. So, and the Charmin O still, Irene arrives, and that's a signal of, okay, well, while we prepare for the next round, he's going to switch the balls for the
Oh
magnetic
God.
balls, puts them in there. And his basically her friend snub her. She's all alone. Jimmy hands her a card on the house, and again,
You
pleasant.
feeling
He's
lucky?
making
Here's one on me, just for you.
this
This is
to
the
me,
salt
Tiki. This
right on the wound, Dragon. You see the
Tiki.
wound? It's like it's fucking right on it, right on it.
Oh yeah, Tiki. This broke my heart because he's asking her, "Hey, Irene, how you doing? And you feeling lucky?" And then she says, "Yeah, yeah." She's not. She's so sad on the inside, and we know this, but she's like playing it. Again, she was just snubbed again to remind her of the wound, and she's just playing it off. And then just when he
Right.
hands her like a card on the house again. That's weaponized pleasantries for you.
Exactly.
That's the cult magnum of weaponized pleasantries.
God.
So then, oh boy, then this is gonna be painful to get through. So then,
Yeah.
he starts the round, and then she gets essentially the fastest bingo in history.
Don't forget. He puts on the Marco pinky ring.
Oh yeah, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, he
Mhm.
does, and that to me is again. We have many symbols of slipping Jimmy in this episode. There's a one for you.
Mm-hmm.
So then draws it
In for Nancy. In 31. In for Nancy, 31 for the number of times she told me to take a hike.
And I love that you see Nancy actually laugh at it. Again, there's painting it's making it so painful. You can see Nancy laugh at it.
Right.
Oh, guys, why is he so charming with the old folks yet doing this?
Mhm.
Oh, Jimmy. Why, Jimmy? Why?
So yeah, it basically goes like straight down the row. Irene's getting like a horizontal bingo, and everyone
The most unimpressive of bingos, by the way.
I know. Everyone's just getting fed up with Irene's lucky streak. She's going up there. Jimmy's complimenting her. Just, wow, fastest bingo of the night. Congratulations.
And here's the sad thing, especially on the rewatch. I knew it was like noticeable. I didn't know how sad it was on the rewatch.
Uh-huh.
Essentially, there's like when Paul, and this was a brilliant device in there. That's why we didn't just start with like we're getting ready for another round. They showed us like a guy winning. Like all the support of like the Sandpiper community, they're all clapping for Paul.
Right.
Like, yeah, good for Paul. Yeah. And then Irene wins after Jimmy tries to bolster her up a little bit. There's like one lone kind of sympathy clap.
Right.
And it just shows you everyone in Sandpiper is turned against her, and then she just breaks down in tears. Just oh god,
runs out of the room.
What?
She runs out of the room in tears.
Yeah, she runs out of the room, and it's just oh god, that to me that hurts so much. Oh god, Jimmy, how could you?
Jimmy just completely did that. It is completely 100% Jimmy's fault.
See, and what I'm talking about, it seems like it might be the most evil thing. Even Saul Goodman, I don't know.
I would, yeah.
He went along with. I know the one thing people bring up. I mean, what happened?
The Belize thing.
The Belize? No, not the flower. The flower.
Oh, right.
Which
yeah.
I would argue, if anyone brings up the flower, I'm going to say that's really he was complicit. He didn't do it.
Sure.
That's my. This is all on Jimmy. So she runs out of the room, and again, geez. So Jimmy consoles Irene. He loosely consoles Irene, and I do like this gag that the assistant takes over because you gotta imagine this also happened during the big bingo hoopla from episode 9.
Where he goes on the Chicago sunroof tirade.
Yeah, that was from episode 9 as well, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Which again, it's really in episode 9. It's always live up to it. It's like you gotta imagine like these poor assistants, like they have to live up to the showman who's Jimmy McGill. Like, okay.
All right, we're gonna hand out new cards, starting a new round.
Desperation for you, I guess. Anyway, so then Jimmy's consoling her, and again, I think this is Jimmy's kind of lending. He's lending an ear to problems. He's tapping into what he does so, but now we know it's so dirty now because we know what he's done. Like,
of course.
So yeah, Jimmy's consoling her, and she just, you take us through. Like, I don't know if I can do it, man.
Okay. Let's see. So, let's see, Irene's just like, they've all turned on me. Helen, Rose, Myrtle, all of them. And then Jimmy, he's just like, what? He acts shocked, like, no. How could that be? They're so cold. I walk past them and they stop talking. I hear them whispering when they think I'm not there. It's so cruel. I don't know why. And then Jimmy, he kind of takes a moment to ponder into himself, kind of acts it up. And he's like, I think maybe I know. Do you think maybe it could be the settlement? He's being like so gentle with her, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he brings it up so gently. And Irene's just like, well, I didn't know they wanted money. And Jimmy's like, well,
Oh,
like who doesn't want more money? And maybe it's not the idea. Maybe it's not the money. Maybe it's the idea that they don't think you're considering them, thinking of their needs. And then Irene is so regretful, Jimmy. Dragon.
I know. Wait, who'd you call me just now?
I called you Jimmy because I'm mad at Jimmy. I just want to lecture Jimmy. I'm like, Irene is so regretful, Jimmy, and you did that to her. You did that. You put her regret in her head.
And like she's so apologetic.
Yep.
It's like, I didn't know there was.
I just want to get back to the way things were. I wish we never started this lawsuit. And then she gives what would WWJD? What would Jimmy do?
Yeah. And in this, to me, this is Jimmy's. I spoke of the moment of change early on. So there was a moment of change early on with Hamlin, just like to prove Hamlin wrong. And here's the moment of change. This is the real Saul Goodman moment of change, which I think an argument could be made that he turns into Saul Goodman with this moment.
Right here.
It depends how episode 10 goes, but unless we see anything to the contrary, I think he turns into Saul Goodman with this moment, to be honest with you.
I can see that.
That's my theory I'm operating on right now. Then we've had a few moments that seemed like that before, but I think this one really might be it, though.
Uh-huh.
So she poses the very important question. She goes, what should I do? What would you do? And here's Jimmy's last chance, moment of change when he does, well, technically, technically would be a change. But you know what I mean? He doesn't take the heroic path, let's say.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm not a lawyer right now, again, re-emphasizing it. I'm not a lawyer right now, again, covering his bases. You should listen to your heart. And that line, I say this is the moment of Saul Goodman because he says that sort of thing all the time as Saul Goodman. You should listen to your heart as he lays out all the
That's true, right.
Like why you take the money deal, and then he has like a line like that kind of sugarcoat at the end. That's like kind of again, Saul Goodman was always kind of a parody of it's like the Vegas parody of Jimmy McGill, like someone who's good hearted, but only if it earns him a buck.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that to me, I wrote in my notes, is that to me signals that's the death of Jimmy McGill. That's the birth of Saul Goodman.
I mean, I definitely think we're going to see the full transformation of that in the season finale, but that's definitely a huge step in that direction for sure, if not the final step.
Like again, like Jimmy McGill. I mean, Jimmy McGill passed away. I mean, this is probably the death of Slipping Jimmy and the birth of Saul Goodman. That's when the transition takes place. That's where it seemingly it is. Yeah,
I could see that.
And
okay.
Yeah.
So then we go from that to one of the most intense endings that we've ever had on the show.
I was really,
because the show just can't let us off the hook, right?
Yeah, but they honestly could have ended it there, and it would have just still been as effective.
They could have, yeah.
Oh boy! And I had such I was on the edge of my seat so much because I thought I knew where they were going. I was terrified. Anyway, I warned you this is going to be a doozy. I said nothing about what it was. So it was a doozy.
You just said the ending would be shocking. That's all you said.
Yes. So Kim's stressed over a very rushed kind of last minute kind of preparation for Gat Woodall. She's prepared. She's very self-conscious. And again, burn the midnight oil. No pun intended.
I kind of take it like, she's kind of got the whole Chuck thing in the back of her head, the switching numbers. You know what I mean? Like being a perfectionist, making sure all the T's have been crossed and whatnot.
And again, in some way, she's been really pushing herself. And on it, and I'm going to throw this theory out there, is that she's taken on Gat Oil because she just wants to earn an equivalent to Mesa Verde. Because Mesa Verde was kind of handed to her, where she wants to basically earn another Mesa Verde with Gatwood.
I could see that.
So basically, that's why she's pushing herself. She just wants to earn the work that she's been given, which is because, as we said, Kim, she hates being in other people's debt. With Hamlin, so she just hates. She wants to live on her own merit.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that puts her in conflict with Jimmy because as much as she loves Jimmy at the same time did kind of do the big kind of like her big pet peeve. So she's kind of making peace with that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, she's getting right at the last minute of the meeting. She's like less
Francesca is being a very helpful assistant. I think she's kind of, thankful that she kept Francesca on in retrospect.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So she's getting ready. Again, she's taking on an equally big client way too soon. Just in addition to why she's really overstressing herself. And she really shouldn't have taken on Gatwood Oil because again, that's a big deal. But it's less even the fact that it's like maybe as challenging as Mason Verder begin. It's as time sensitive. It's super time sensitive. It's only 2 weeks.
Exactly. That's the big thing, right?
There is a gamble with Kim's case because if they say no, then she's screwed with only like a week or so, like maybe a little over a week to figure out another way of dealing with it. So she's really like the worst thing she could have done. Mm-hmm. So then, oh boy, and
Jimmy comes in at the worst possible time.
I tell you, this scene got me a little mad at Jimmy. The other scene, I was so disappointed. I got mad at Jimmy in this scene
because Jimmy he won't stop pushing it, right? And I'm right there with you, Dragon. The whole time I was just like, "Drop it, Jimmy! Fucking drop it! Drop it!" You know what
honestly.
I mean?
Yeah, you're right about that, but you know what it was, dude? This is quite literally. I mean, you had the perfect analogy. Just works throughout this whole episode. But this is quite literally a weaponized pleasantry in his hand.
It is.
That's what made me pissed off at Jimmy in this scene. So here's the thing. So Jimmy enters. So Jimmy is Jimmy's bothering Kim. You know, Jimmy's really bothered that Kim can't stop work for his news, which is again very very not cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's he arrives with Sarajevo. Sarajevo being a big symbol of slipping Jimmy, of course. Like it's a huge symbol of slipping Jimmy and slipping Kimmy as well. Their relationship. So
sure.
I get it on that level. At the same time, we know, of course, Sarajevo is super expensive, and that's what really got under my skin with this scene, Sarajevo, because Jimmy is, especially in the rewatch. While he did not do anything illegal, he just did something really mean and scummy. Mm-hmm. He's celebrating, which he shouldn't do. He shouldn't celebrate for what he just did.
Yep.
And not only is he celebrating, but he's counting his chickens before they hatch. Because again, the deal hasn't been made yet. He doesn't sell minutes. And again, it's like Walter White wanted to celebrate, and they knew they were going to do stuff. But in this case, just compared to like the Walter White Scholar thing, he bought a nice fancy bottle of wine, and they knew the deal was closed. The deal isn't even closed, and he's buying a really expensive thing. This is actually reckless. Mm-hmm. He buys the most expensive bottle of tequila on the market, Sarajevo. And again, he brings it to Kim at the worst possible time, and just the fact that he's been so. He's in scraping to make ends meet, and he buys a super extravagant thing before he really should. And that's just an insult to Kim, because Kim took Gatwood in large part because Jimmy was struggling.
Of course.
So that, to me, is just a big insult to Kim, just by showing off that Sarajevo. And I think had she not been busy, she would have picked up on that. She would have been really mad at him, like I am.
Right.
You see what I mean? I'm not crazy with that, man. Right? That's an insult.
It's just like, this episode has so many layers of just Jimmy McGill being a bad person.
Because this is a weaponized. That's a weaponized pleasantries to a T. He's like a nice gesture turned evil.
Yep. Okay.
And it's also the fact that he hasn't been there for Kim he hasn't really been there for Kim with all the stress she's been on the job until this moment. It's always been what serves him. It's kind of a realization you have in this episode that he's been focused on his own problems, making ends meet on his own. He hasn't really been wondering like how to help Kim out.
Sure.
I can't put all of that on Jimmy, but I mean, in this scene, you kind of notice that he's starting to say, "Hey, take a break." He should have been saying that to her way before she got invested in Gatwood in the first place.
Right.
But he was like on the floor playing his guitar instead of saying, "Hey, Kim, you don't take on anything you can't handle."
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
So Jimmy hasn't taken time to. Jim. So Kim leaves, and I like that she's overworked mom in this scene. She's like, "Okay, Jimmy, that's really good. Tell me all about it when I get back." It's like Jimmy's mother practically, and she is taken aback, so she doesn't know about the settlement talk. And again, it's the fact that it's not fully paid off yet, so she's still skeptical of. Okay, that's exciting. Just we don't have any time right now.
Sure. And then, of course, I love how Jimmy gets Fran to drink with him. Mm-hmm. And Dragon, that's got to be the start of something right there, man. That's him and Fran kind of going down a direction where they're, I don't know. It's just Fran is a character that I've been keeping my eye on the whole season with her and Jimmy. You know what I mean?
Of course, one of two ways with Francesca is just all the sexual harassment Jimmy kind of directs towards that Saul Goodman directs towards Francesca down the line.
Right.
I'm saying like he always makes the sexual remark, the HT, all that stuff. It implies that they may have had a relationship.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's save that for speculation.
All right. Just remind me of it.
Yeah, because we're almost done with the episode. So.
Okay, so the point is they toast. They wants to at least drink some of the super expensive Serenade. They both and she says smooth. And this to me on the rewatch is really good. It's smooth, and like a moment of pause goes by, and Jimmy agrees. Yeah, because it's like I should be feeling successful, but I don't because he did such terrible things in the episode.
Of course.
All right, and now the most shocking moment in Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
I'm saying very shockingly executed. Most shockingly executed.
Yeah, like for me, it's not a shocking moment just because I saw it coming with the foreshadowing. Like as soon as Kim got in the car and she was distracted, and we had that moment earlier with the almost car wreck, I was like, okay, she's gonna wreck. But Dragon, the shocking thing is how it's executed. I think.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's absolutely
right.
Because I love TK. I'm still every time I watch it, I'm like so enamored by how they shot this. I can't wait.
It's basically a repeat of the falling asleep in the car thing. They pull that same sort of trick.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, my reaction to this while I was watching, I was on the edge of my seat because I was yelling at my TV almost that because I knew a crash was coming, and part of me wondered.
Right, like I think they were very intentional with like as you're watching her drive, you're like, oh god, something bad is about to happen. Right.
Here's the thing, I part of me really wondered. I was like saying, you wouldn't dare, because I thought, oh my god, are they going to kill her?
Okay,
off?
well keep in mind, Ray Seahorn's been doing some interviews recently where she's basically been quoted as saying, if they kill me off, they're going to kill me off in a big way.
Well, that's
been a quote from her.
This is a big way.
Right. I mean, of course, she's not dead, but that quote was going through my mind as I was watching this, Dragon. I was like, oh, God. Oh, God.
Here, you know what's funny? I had somewhat of a similar thing. I didn't have that interview. What I did have is like someone did an article back then, like it's saying, like, here's Better Call Saul. Slipping Kimmy is great, but something along the lines with the headline saying, but Kim needs to die.
Could you imagine if she did die and Jimmy was partly responsible?
Oh god, that'd be again. That would be the scene if it went darker.
Yeah, right, right.
So I mean, that's the thing. Just that article, basically, that went into was like how Kim. We love this relationship, but we know it's destined for failure, and Kim most basically to serve the future. They make the argument that she has to die. You and I are kind of on the opposite side of that, but again, we don't know based on the sending what the future could hold. So,
I don't think she has to die just specifically because like. We kind of brought up the point last with Hamlin having a wife, like because Hamlin has a wife and we haven't seen her in the series, like, you know, for all we know, Kim could be married to Saul, you know what I mean? In the Saul Goodman timeline. Like we don't know that much about Saul's personal life at all. So
we know he has ex-wives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again,
that's true.
So again, there's possibilities.
Right.
Let's see. So all right. So oh boy. All right, so again, just throughout the scene, like you don't have the balls. I'm saying you wouldn't dare. How I'm just saying that, like it's like I'm addressing Vince Gilligan, Peter,
exactly right,
or Gordon Smith, like you wouldn't dare. Say, I'm so on edge. You guys, you wouldn't dare do that to her. Because it's like dawning on me as she's driving, like, oh man, we really had like that moment where Jimmy should have reached out to Kim earlier, but he didn't. It's like he's gonna regret like toasting Serenade with someone else, setting up HT possibly. Right. You wouldn't dare write her off that way. So again, she's driving. Then we have this brilliant, just kind of blinking. It's like as she's driving, just kind of going over the case in her head, like going over the Gatwood stuff in her head. Well, like saying it to herself. She's driving, and then basically it's like a blinker, like a flash. Oh god, I'm so fast, like bang, and then it's like airbag. Her face is all beaten up. She smashed into something in one shot, and it's amazing how they did that. It's a beautiful editing trick right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy. It's and so we see she's
just a cataclysmic final shot.
Yeah, I just love how Ray Seahorn is so great in this scene. Just plays like the shock and the pain of it all. She's like her arm's definitely broken. Like the oh god, it's like the reveal of her beaten up face too. That she gets out there. Excellent shot to end on too. Like it's revealed she hit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
off the side of a road, and it's she gets
all
out.
The papers are scattered all over the place.
Symbol of Kim being overworked,
of course.
Very much. And then self-destructive path too. Of course, there's the Detroit car and all that stuff. It's revealed how kind of almost near fatal the crash could have been. I mean, there was it wasn't like a cliff or anything. It was like a ravine. She could have really been.
Yeah, it's a literal cliffhanger, Dragon.
Yes, one could say a fall. Like again, like she would have fallen a great deal more. And the point is, everyone's kind of on a fall. They're all kind
Right,
of
right.
yeah.
Very fitting name of the episode.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh God, wow. Okay, we got through it, Dragon. We got through it. Okay, so you want to talk about the promo briefly?
Yes, promo very, very clear cut, very direct. So Kim's in the hospital, obviously. Yeah,
That's
we'll
the
see.
second finale in a row that a character's been in the hospital post the penultimate episode.
True, yes. So he's in the hospital. We see her getting a cast and some morphine, so she's really beaten up.
Yep.
Let's see. Jimmy's visiting her. We then see Jimmy in the mall. It looks like I freeze framed it. It looks like he's with Irene.
Oh God! Oh, I don't want him to be in the vicinity of Irene anymore, Dragon. Don't do any more damage to that poor.
I know. I'll give you
alone.
I'll give you the non-spoilery synopsis of the episode afterwards. So we might have a reason for that. Anyway, so Chuck's offering like, "Hey, let's bygones be bygones." Deal with Hamlin, like waiting for a handshake, and but Hamlin just looks like he's not having it.
Right.
Hamlin's. I'm sorry, not Hamlin. Hector's looking for Mr. Varga.
Oh God.
Where is your puppy? What is puppy not home? Nacho is fleeing with a gun. Very honest. Then we have, and here's the big build. So Jimmy and Chuck are gonna have a scene together.
Okay, right.
And Jimmy is lamenting in the scene. I would have done things differently.
Oh man.
So, and of course, here's like the three details we get in the synopsis is that Kim's going to take some time off.
Okay, that makes sense.
Jimmy's making amends with people.
Okay, right.
Hence the Irene, and hence maybe the Chuck thing.
Okay.
And not, I guess 4. So not just taking a big gamble with his future. So that's ominous. Ooh. And lastly, Howard is pushing Chuck.
Okay, and next episode's called Lantern, right?
Oh yes.
So we assume that Lantern has something to do with Chuck. Yes. I still think Chuck dying is on the table.
You know what? Again, I don't know, because this Kim near-death scare, I don't know what to expect.
But maybe the Kim near-death scare is kind of like a, like leading you off the scent in a way.
You know, again, I've been calling Chuck's death since the beginning of the season. Not since the beginning, since we got the Lantern title. I've been calling the death.
Right.
But I'm just saying, given all we've gone through, Chuck, I think they're going to keep him around for at least another season before they.
I think you're probably right, because there's a lot of stuff hanging in the air with Chuck. Yeah,
especially with the speculation I got for Chuck. So I think they might. I think we'll worry about writing Chuck out next season. That's what I think we're doing.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let me. You want to fire through some spec first?
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned with HT, I definitely think that the Kim thing is going to lead to a big sort of divide between Jimmy and Chuck, or Jimmy and Kim, I should say. I'm sorry. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to see Jimmy and Francesca hook up out of desperation. Maybe not so much in the season finale, but I think there might be some seeds sown in the season finale for that in the future. Because I definitely think that would be a way to explain kind of the sexual harassment and like the the tense working relationship that those two have in the future. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
I could see, again, I'd probably predict that if Kim just kind of leaves Jimmy's life at a certain point.
I mean, Kim could go back to, Nebraska after the accident. That could be on the table.
Whenever that happens, I think that's when we're going to get the HT. And
okay, right. Let's see. I definitely think that Hector, I mean, he's got to go down, right?
Yes,
he's
next
got to
episode.
go down.
He's going down the next episode. I have a theory as to how.
Okay.
I think regardless, Nacho's going to be the guy to put Hector in the chair, and a part of me thinks I just think given the desperation with the father thing, it sounds like from that promo, he's going to visit Nacho's father. Nacho's father isn't there because Nacho has.
So you think Nacho is going to put him in the chair himself? You think
I think
Nacho
he might shoot him and put him in the chair.
I wouldn't be surprised about that. That'd be poetic because we kind of ended season 2 with the threat of shooting Gus, right?
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, the threat of shooting Tio. You know what I mean? So yeah, that'd be a good kind of full circle way to go with it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, yeah, I think that's regardless. I think Nacho, whichever method they're going to use, like he might just like directly inject him with something. I don't know. It's regardless. Like I'm just saying, given he was running away with a gun, that suggests that like in that moment, I'm saying this gamble with the future is one of two things. It's going to be one that's going to be Nacho in a desperate attempt, like again the last desperate attempt to protect his father, as we all would in the situation. You got to protect.
Of course,
he's going to shoot. He's going to shoot Hector and, of course, be on the run and maybe forge an alliance with Gus to protect himself.
I could see that.
Only other way I could see it going is that to protect his father, he somehow strikes up something with Fring. But I think the first way, I'm thinking, but I think Hector's going in that chair somehow.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to, right? I mean, it's like Vince Gilligan's like great at like stretching out these plot lines and whatnot. But I think Vince Gilligan is also a man who knows when to pull the, satisfactory conclusion to a plot.
Yeah, because seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if the pills were a red herring, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we were just going to shoot him.
I really wouldn't be surprised if the pills were a red herring. You're right about that.
It's either I'll tell you what, it's either going to be he shoots him or like he like points a gun at him, and then he has a heart attack and dies. Well, not dies obviously, but he gets in the chair.
Of course.
Sorry, I'm death on the mind with all the Chuck and Kim.
It's fine.
Anyway, do you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
Let me just fire through very few points here. So I think Kim in the hospital is going to put things in perspective for Jimmy. That's going to lead Jimmy to regret his actions and make amends with people.
I could see that.
Kim's going to take some time off, and I think Kim's going to lead to kind of a big, kind of sad ending to the season. So the point is, the episode starts off just directly picking up with that Jimmy horrified, just realizing, oh my god, I haven't been there for Kim when I needed to be.
Right.
I already mentioned the Nacho thing. Obviously, Howard versus Chuck.
Sure.
They're definitely getting that. I think I think we're going to open. If we don't open the episode with just directly with Kim, I think we might have. We open the episode with a flashback too. I think if we're going to talk about the Lantern, it's going to be a flashback to the Lantern's origin.
Of course, there's always the potential that we might get that that coveted second Gene scene.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we gotta right. Yes. So yes.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna get that at this point, just because there's so much else going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's still up in the air.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna bet you this. All right. Okay. Three. Here are the possibilities. One, we could just open with we just open with a Lantern flashback with just something in the layout here is that let's just say we see Jimmy's first time dealing with Chuck, and he presents him with the Lantern solution, which solidifies the brotherly bond.
Gotcha.
That's the opening, just without factoring Gene into the mix. Okay. Other way we go about it, we open the episode instead of that. We open it with Gene like kind of buying a lantern in a store somewhere.
Oh man.
And we just see it on his face. He's thinking of Chuck.
Right.
And thirdly, we just we maybe have like this we the flashback to the original Lantern. We end the season on Gene.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking we might get a flash forward as the cliffhanger.
Yes. So those are my Gene. I guess the Gene theories. Thank you for reminding me. Because again, we got so wrapped up in all the stuff this season, completely forgot about Gene.
Okay.
Let's see. So again, here's what I think we're going. I think the season's going to end on two big points. I think in Jimmy making amends, Jimmy's going to Chuck being backed into a desperate corner by Howard. The McGill boys are going to team up to take down HHM.
Nice.
Because
that'd be great.
And here's why that would work. If one's kind of taking us back to that perverse version of the first season where they together were about to, they're facing off against HHM, and now Chuck's against HHM. So that would be, again, it's kind of the mindset they were both at season, but now they've gone through all this stuff and they'd be reunited again.
Oh, I love it.
As they get reunited, then we tear down the meaningful relationship, because that's just kind of like showing like a relationship that, like, that's one that you never see come like the two brothers, reuniting, and to counteract that, we'd have Kim finds out about what Jimmy's done, and she's on the outs with Jimmy, and she's taking some time off. It means maybe she's like taking a vacation. Point, she leaves Jimmy for a spell.
Mm-hmm.
And flashback. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, the last thing I got to speculate on, just because the money thing. One of the things, the last thing I got, then we're all done there, is that so. Obviously, Jimmy may have $1 million coming to him. That's kind of a big plot point.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you think he's going to use that $1 million to start up the Saul Goodman business?
absolutely, I think that ties into the ending of this season if it goes the route. He's on
Oh,
the outs
man.
with Kim and going up against AJ Jim. So here's the thing. So first of all, I think if Jimmy's teaming up with Chuck, it's going to be like they don't like each other, but they're working together in terms of we've been through a lot of stuff. We know HHM got to go down. The way Chuck gets Jimmy is that. Now you're content with your $1 million settlement. But what if I told you, basically, I can give you essentially, what if I split half and half and half? I get my $4 million, you get your $4 million, and we take that.
He kind of has like a social network style, like $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion.
Something like that, but more manageable.
Right. Of course.
But I'm saying, I imagine that's the only way I can see Chuck winning Jimmy over to his side. Along just Jimmy feeling maybe a twinge of remorse.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, and the secret for season 4 being he's the reason for the firing.
Right.
For the retirement talk. So anyway, so with the $1 million, so assuming Jimmy did not endanger it with Hamlin just trying to, and again, this might be season 4 stuff, just investigating the Irene scam. So again, the Irene scam, Hamlin mentioned as long if he pulls anything like that would endanger his settlement, so he might just.
Oh, you're right. That could be possibly looming for sure.
I mean, they might get Irene on the stand, and she'll mention Jimmy, which again might endanger things. So,
God.
So I'm saying we might go there with it and again now have a chip on Saul's shoulder because he blew $1 million deal because he couldn't wait.
Sure.
Other way of going about it, and this is the way I initially thought of it, is that okay, let's just be fun with it. We give Jimmy the $1 million, and because he's ticked off Kim, he tries essentially he pays the officer basically they never have to face bills again. What if he actually is on the outs of Kim, so he starts a whole new business for Saul Goodman, which he buys that office in the shopping mall.
Right.
Not the strip, the strip mall, where the Saul basically buys his Goodman location. He sets all of that up. Basically, I'm saying, what if he actually blows through the $1 million, and where we see he has a reasonable amount stashed away so he can keep the business up and running in Breaking Bad. But he buys the Cadillac. He buys the giant inflatable Statue of Liberty.
That would be such a cool way to end the season with a montage of him purchasing all the familiar Better Call Saul iconography.
Yeah, so or that or an opening for after the Gene scene, of course, for season 4, but a way of kind of getting us back into I'm saying he gives half of it to Kim to try and make up for things, and then the rest of it he's using for Saul Goodman.
So essentially, that would lead us right into season 4. Bam, we're in the Breaking Bad timeline.
Exactly. So I'm just saying that's if he gets the money. I'm saying assuming if he gets the money, we're directly getting Saul Goodman. That's my big prediction. If he gets the money, he keeps it all Saul Goodman. There's no reason why not. All right.
This is going on long, so let's just end it, okay?
It was a big episode 9 is always the big one.
I know. All right, so let's quickly get a Saul Goodman quote in there.
The Tao of Saul.
The Tao of Saul, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, well, I know what stopped me, and you know what? It's never stopping me again.
Hey, calling back to that moment I mentioned.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. Who we gonna call, Dragon?
Not Ghostbusters. No, here's where we're going. Let's call Davis and Maine. I want to, Aaron got me thinking. Let's call our old buddy Omar. Let's see what he's up to.
Oh God. Okay.
So Davis and Maine, folks, for the kiddies at home, dial it up.
Hold on.
You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry.
The number for Davis and Maine is 505 242 7700. 505-242-7700. Dial now.
Wait, what?
Oh. Okay, try it again, and we'll do a different number. It might be just they got rid of it. 505.
I'll just hit redial.
Oh, quick, want to do it the easy way.
Oh.
This call may be monitored. Quality assurance. Your use of this service does not constitute attorney-client privilege. Thank you for calling the law offices of Davis and Maine for your free class action consultation. If you or a loved one is a resident of a Sandpiper Crossing assisted living facility, you may be eligible for monetary compensation. Please leave your name, number, and your state of residence, and your call will be returned within 24 hours.
You know what it might be? I could be wrong here, but I'm just saying based on the Saul Goodman number we had early in the season, they had a thing where it would go on hold and then you get like a second call because the idea is the phones would be lighting up for Saul Goodman Productions. And in this case, after this episode, all the Sandpiper Crossing settlement talk, Davis and Maine might be really busy right now.
Right. Okay.
Maybe that's why.
All right, final thoughts, Dragon. I'll go first. I think this episode is incredible. I think the season is incredible. I am just so proud of Vince Gilligan and company. Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, Bob Odenkirk, just all of them, man. This show's so good. I mean, this show just absolutely exceeded every single expectation we had for it. It kind of rose above sort of the growing pains of season one, as we were mentioning, where season one kind of had all those different plot points. We didn't really know what the show was yet. I think this is the episode that absolutely brought everything that the show has built up so far into a grand climax. It's heartbreaking. It's chilling. At the same time, it's still got that Saul Goodman, it's like the weaponized pleasantries where it's like you're laughing at Saul, but you feel like crap about yourself for laughing at him. It's just, it's so good, Dragon. This season has been such a roller coaster. And I can't stress this enough. I think Vince Gilligan and company they are absolutely on point. They're en route to deliver something just as good as Breaking Bad with this show if they wind it up right and if it continues to be this good.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! This episode was such a treat. Again, it lives up to the usual episode 9 expectation. It was great. Gordon Smith delivers yet another fantastic script. Again, the guy he writes like the Dickens. That really does, and it was. It's really hard just to say so many nice things. Just everything was fantastic in this episode. Again, seeing Hamlin and Jimmy Fonda, all the bottled up stuff Hamlin has. Again, this season had an undercurrent of Hamlin like I was hoping for. Building to this moment where Hamlin, it's finally he's sick of dealing with these McGills, and at the same time, again, I'm still so enamored with that ending with Kim, and we have this episode is quite literally it's the fall. We're slipping down a dark path with episode 8, and then fall's just kind of now we've fallen down a dark hole almost, and in a good way, a dark hole in terms of Jimmy's morality here, because again, it's just this essentially is kind of our Bates Motel kind of season 4 ending. Essentially, this is kind of what it is. It's like we know where it's going in the future here, and of course, obviously, we know what the Saul Goodman punchline is going to be.
Sure.
We know it's coming, so we knew that, but it's like the day we were never ready for this moment. It's like, oh yeah, we know Bates Motel is going to end, but we're not ready for it. In this case, we know Saul's. It's like we know Jimmy McGill can't stay sweet and sympathetic forever, but did it have to be? He's got to betray his. He's got to tear down poor Irene Landry. Come on, she's the nice cat lady. Come on. Right, Jimmy again. Right. It really hits you as an audience. Really, you're going like, it's like the old adage for Pixar with a working character where with Woody initially was really flawed and he was really just like unlikable. And the way they made him likable was like they're going to make you care about this character. So when he makes decisions that are in the wrong, it's like, oh, don't make those choices. In this case, throughout the episode, Jimmy, don't make these choices. I'm so disappointed. You not just father to him. So again, the whole episode just top marks, and again for a newbie director, excellent job.
Mm-hmm. All right, that'll do it for now, folks. We will be taking a temporary recess until next week.
Remember, kids, you get that phone call. Make it count. Better call Saul. Saul Goodman and Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, we are adjourned.
We could totally be lawyers.
Totally be lawyers. It's like talking to Gollum.